want me to take half of those for you?
I can do that.
Yeah, because I can take half too, but that's a pretty,
I don't want
Oh.
your logger pen to break.
They run out of ink.
Run out of ink. All those logs you're pulling in the deck.
okay, then we'll split these, but we need to
Well, they
share the
just well opened
sheet.
that mill up. They're pumping about 20 loads a day out of down there and shipping them to Idaho now.
Really?
Yeah, got a whole string of Idaho trucks over here.
With the cost of fuel, you wonder how,
Yeah, I know. I know.
Expect those fuel prices to continue to rise. They've risen 10 cents a gallon this week alone. So,
Yeah, I haven't seen it around here, I know, lately, I've seen it before.
They were 737.
Yeah, they're from Wichita.
Yeah, and they had 7 of them in one train on the road.
We'll have to share the sheet. Oh, unless you're gonna do,
No, he's talking about,
what?
he's talking about this the other day. They had Carl was trying to set,
yeah, I showed you that.
Who
I
caught?
mean, all of us.
Yeah, I know that.
Helen,
Oh,
Here, huh?
Wonder what did it actually?
it's like names or
The
something.
railroad line
all
goes
the
straight last year,
names.
right?
I don't know, I didn't see everything, I just know,
There you go. And why did the railroad workers want to go
I
on
need some of
strike?
that focus medicine.
Because they were being forced
Yes.
to work
I
unlimited
need some.
hours. You hired a railroad at 18, you work till 65. You don't get 20 years and get your retirement. And so the maintenance is.
Okay, here Daryl
Kept up
Bill's
with the maintenance
check.
of the tracks.
Roman.
Okay,
It has, mostly it has to do with.
He seems like a pretty nice guy.
Is he that young kid?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is, isn't he?
True double time pays.
So whose kid is he
You
then,
want to
Roman?
hire more,
Sharon and Doug.
but only places
Yeah.
like
Go.
Brandon,
Okay, not Dawn.
individuals,
No.
not
And which one
Dawn's
is-
his grandpa then.
Right.
Virginia.
And where does Doug live?
Burlington Northern.
You said Doug?
Well, they used to live on Porch Loop out there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And
Then they
those are
moved
under
to
the
Helena or something.
NTSB.
Well, she did.
Montana Railroad.
Right,
is under the
Sharon did.
NTSB
I don't
too, But Montana Railroad.
I just wonder
has
him in
their own
relation to
project and maintenance
fishermen.
budgets. There's some.
Which one's
Yeah, they're all
Yeah.
related. That's
Which
his
ones other
brother.
rail lines are not.
Mary Goodwin used to work with him.
Because that one's that.
Look at the
I don't
difference
know.
between our line down here and the highlight.
Dave?
Look at the
Yeah, I
difference
think we
between
paid.
the use and the maintenance.
I don't know, they all had D names, but I forgot.
The maintenance on the high line is
Dave,
run by
Doug,
PSNF and the whole federal
I think you
services.
had a question.
Ours down here is done by Montana Railway. There's your problem right there. They should have played nice with them last year instead of forcing them.
And that was the Fed who did that.
I know, exactly. I mean, we're- Did you know that that's the same place that wrecked before?
My buddy.
And spilled beer. They called it the silver bullet derby. So now this is the once in a blue moon silver bullet derby. We even made the national, it was on news.
And guess who was on it?
Tear them apart. Tear them apart.
That's
Did
what I
you,
thought.
I want the ones unofficial.
That's
Is
what
that-
I thought.
Draft.
Beers, yeah.
Okay.
Put draft.
I usually put unofficial, because we have official and unofficial.
Okay.
The other things are drafts, but the ones are official and
I'm doing good,
unofficial.
how are you doing?
Change it?
No,
Okay.
Stiff and sore.
next time, yes.
Give me a draft, can you give me a beer?
Good.
Brandy.
I've got the blackberry brandy.
Do you have it?
I can home and get it.
No, I'll, when I leave,
I'd take some. Did you get that picture of that stuff that I sent?
Yeah, I went,
I
bought
could
some.
too. Did you? I
feel
didn't
like
get over
I
there
feel
yet.
like I'm worse.
I'll tell you, huh?
I feel like I'm worse.
Really?
I-
Well, when did you take
I
it?
just took it once, last night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It kinda knocks you out.
Well, I slept good.
Yeah,
I will
me
say
too.
that.
Me too. It knocked the hell right out of mine. I was all starting to puff up, my throat was starting to swell here. 2 nights and I was good. But I eat a lot of oranges, a lot of vitamin C.
I take vitamin C every day and every day. That's why I'm pissed that I'm
Do you
sick.
eat them or drink them?
Lemon on Dawn. Swap and spit with
Do
Dawn.
you eat them or drink them?
Either way,
Mix a little vodka with it.
yeah.
I'm just making
I'm
sure.
gonna do that here
Are we
in
being recorded?
just a few days, I'm sure we are.
Well, I just heard it something I was gonna make a comment on, so I'm not gonna make a comment on it now. It was gonna be a smart ass comment.
You could hang it, you could hang your coat over it.
Oh, boy.
You could hang your coat over it if you want to.
Oh, shoot, audio, that reminds me.
Oh, what, you have to do audio now?
Well, we do it every.
Oh,
year. Just audio.
we do, we always do, we don't have to.
Did you go fishing in gears lately or not?
What's that?
I'm gonna
Did
sit
you
with
get
that and
any
see.
gears or not? Not with the river. I don't either. It would have been fun to do
Yeah.
this for them.
I'm gonna go before I expose anybody
I
else.
bought
Yeah, but
that
it
cheap
would've been fun to do
blackberry
it this
brandy,
way.
$10.
I don't think it matters, as long as it's.
I'm just telling you,
Brain,
the cheap stuff.
doesn't even need to be blackberry, the blackberry just
Yeah,
tastes
the
better.
person in the first picture was the
I just-
guy.
No, it's the berry though that is healing. Like I used to do fresh elderberry out of Missoula every year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought it was just the brandy.
No, no, it's the berry.
Yeah, 98, 99.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah.
You do?
I do. That's one thing I can honestly say with this job.
Gotta get cruising here on my work, 9:05.
I'm just giving
That's
you.
when it's short.
Alright, did you?
Want to or not,
No. No, I have no indication that.
I am leaving though. I'm gonna go after I get everything set up.
But she's learned that blackberry
I've
brandy
been there
is all.
enough days to use sick
I
leave.
was gonna bring it today, actually.
No sick leave for you. You're on call 24/7, didn't we tell you that?
No, I think you forgot to mention that part.
I can't imagine.
You know, if you call, I probably will answer it anyways, so.
Like Boone's Farm? Hey! Boone, how about you?
Good, good. I'm hanging out towards the back today.
I would just more than likely I would answer.
Hello.
David Jackson, what the hell are you up to?
Dwayne?
You're supposed to go upstairs to Deb's desk.
Am I? Uh-oh, am I in trouble?
There's a lemon muffin.
Are you not always in trouble?
I'm married.
How it is around my house. Are you breathing?
Yeah. What did I say?
You haven't fallen down the stairs accidentally lately?
Let's see if I can figure this out before I go.
What are you up to today?
This meeting starts.
Just hanging out. I've seen you guys have so much stress lately in here. I thought I'd just come and hang out and see if I can be a calming force.
Thank you.
Yeah, support you guys. Yeah, but I brought work with me to just kind of play with.
Oh, sit in front of me so I can bother you. when I
Yeah,
come up.
yeah. How's everything going with you guys? Doing all right?
Yeah, about the same.
Yeah. Same old, same old.
Pressure's on, man.
Pressure and stress,
Yeah.
pressure, pressure, non-stop.
I'm taking a vacation for a week. So
Oh, nice.
it'll be in these guys' hands.
You going somewhere?
St. George, Utah for a week.
Very cool.
Yeah. Haven't ever been there before. Drove by there a bunch of times. We usually go down to Havasu.
Or just
Like,
Yeah, St. George, way down the bottom, yeah.
It's not as far as Havasu though.
Yeah, yeah.
I would never drive to Havasu.
They do have a lot, they have a really good business.
A week isn't long enough to go down and do
Yeah, it's
that.
true, it's true.
But I don't like flying down there either.
I'm flying down to San Diego next week because my grandson challenged me to a half
I've
marathon.
never been.
Oh,
This is so far. I can do a 5K or 10K,
Well, that'd be.
but a half marathon,
Jake.
I'm dreading it. That's next week, I'm not ready.
Garden on Monday.
Ah,
It's June, right?
saying that.
Yeah, I'll
Dwayne is in the
System preferences.
pick something over there.
What's that?
I'll just find it, we got it.
We're talking about lunch for that.
Oh, I thought we were having pizza.
Yeah, so that's good for.
On the
you.
hosting thing, he said that, he said, what about people who don't like pizza, do they have other stuff?
Oh, they do, yeah, I don't know what their menu is, but they do have another menu.
Yeah, they have calzos, cause I've taken calzos.
I've gotta go down on my lunch hour to,
if at first you don't succeed, do it the way you want.
I
It's only
so
been
I'll
the
bring
first
down
time.
there. You're not gonna take the menu.
And the second time.
The
Menu for
menu.
Oh, it's,
No, that's,
I'm
that's
gonna
the
print
other
one off
thing.
for you on the computer.
That means two things.
I'm gonna hold that one aside, John, and get her to sign it, and then I'll just take it with me.
And what is that one?
That's my mileage check, I want you to sign it.
Oh,
Snow.
26, 27.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that should have.
But that also means the frost went out, so some of it's going this way. On the
JD
meadow,
six
they're
oh
past
one.
those over exit. There was a
Oh geez, that stupid thing.
You saw that?
If it's catching up on text messages, that's what it does. I don't know how you turn that beep off.
Yeah, I'm not reading them or nothing, so.
I'm not worried about that. I don't want you to we don't wanna listen to ding, 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 ding.
The second one, you know, where before you
I see this microphone's working.
There was 117 of
Yeah,
them.
it's-
Hello?
There was
No.
31
Oh, it's not hooked into
We
a
still
speaker
gotta,
yet.
we still gotta
into this part.
set it up with this computer somehow, that's what I'm
So
saying.
that one's not.
Sound,
Good morning.
I just fell from the fear of the couch. But there was 117 in the one bunch, all of them like metal.
That's why you wouldn't let HR have their own
There would be no
Yeah.
problems.
mailbox.
Yeah.
And there was 31 of them.
Now, Dwayne Simon said we
The train
can't
was
have our own
coming
mailbox.
all the way down there. There were like 6 on the track, I could see
Oh,
that.
can
must
we
be
silence that thing?
Let's look at it now.
You sure it was me
I'm
that said that?
trying.
Yes, it was you.
And then the same 11 have been at
I've
Fish
never
Creek.
forgiven you for it.
But they are 2 bunches there. There's like one bunch of 11 and one bunch of like 31. But the bunch of 11 is just a bunch of scruff
Aren't
ones.
we missing?
God, I do not know how to use a Mac at all.
I don't know if it's that.
I think I'm gonna get rid of my iPhone because it keeps taking messages on its own.
I've never been good with that.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So-
I'll say something, it will change words and you don't know it changed the words until after it's
How the fuck
sent.
do you close this? There's no
Really?
links or
It
nothing.
doesn't show you the message
I'll
before?
tell you later.
Holy
It doesn't show you the
God.
message before?
Yeah, but there's a
Mine
notable
shows it.
difference in just.
There's the message, but you send
If
it.
you're using the voice part?
Oh, I don't use the voice, I do the typing and it changes all my words.
Huh?
Oh, yeah.
I've had to do that a
couple
lot
of them.
with the voice. Oh, yeah.
He said, wait till I tell you one of them changes, so.
So maybe that's the deal.
I think we're
What
official.
year? What year?
Yeah, we had a
LEPC, but I already posted it, I already put them out there, they really weren't official. They're official now. March, LEPC.
Commission Simon,
But,
I can't, I'm looking, I don't remember what day when we did the schism, awarding some money for first responders, search and rescue, and firemen, critical incident stress, Mr. McGee.
The guys that.
As an afterthought, somebody suggested to me that that could come out of Title III.
that's what Emily said.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we'll have to remember that. Amend that or change that, I don't know if we've said anything.
Well, I don't know if we said where it was coming out of.
Yeah.
We did say discretionary.
Did we say?
Yeah, I don't know if that, Darren would have the sheet and.
We need to talk about some of that stuff anyway. She's got a whole different idea.
Yeah, that's why I probably we have the recipe, so we'll have it.
Can I just close
When
this?
you can hear too.
Yeah, close it, whatever.
Close window there. Maybe that
I
was-
think that's a big mistake.
Like, you know, you have it like really skinny,
Still, it's still.
yeah, yeah. And it's like, oh my gosh, you definitely need to like get it, what do you call it?
Turn off
I'd love to
notifications.
have all kinds of things and students see if they can invite.
Shut down text messages, I don't
To do
know.
a contact at the museum, because every school they have some fun things. It's a take
Yeah, I would have to look. I also want to look at the minutes from.
Jesus Christ.
Me too. And we can't have that. 3-3.
Okay, right. Oh, awesome, yeah,
Yes, David.
okay. Yeah, yeah.
You heard me.
Did he make his spin and everything?
I don't have that administrative sheet in front of me, but I feel certain it was discretionary.
Yeah, I think that's what we said.
Yeah, I think we did say
That'd
that.
be,
Notifications. Turn off notifications.
Yes, oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna send you the March.
Okay,
The story of Lowe's always part of it.
okay.
The other one, of course, the person who, even the people who were officially didn't know what
I'll tell you, we already jumped it, that was a mistake.
Okay.
they never realized.
I jumped it
And that's
on.
what it's called?
What,
The name of the book is tough.
the budget anyways.
Oh, I read that.
If Garcia posted the discount.
Oh, your favorite
And he was
Chris?
the author.
Yeah, go ahead, I guess we can go. I honestly haven't had a chance to turn those in.
Because I read it twice.
I can't find the March
Let's go talk to him.
LETC from March, because those
That
were.
way, it doesn't know
I
where.
did.
Yeah.
Not
I
realizing.
didn't wanna affect anything either way.
Oh, the commissioners.
Yeah, and I know why it's there. So, you know, being part
How
of the
much
museum
you
board,
care,
it
we
would
were,
be fascinating.
I've not heard yet, meeting is Tuesday 11th, should have asked if they were
Right?
staying where they are, they plan to stay where
And
they
especially with so
are.
many new
Well,
people coming to Missoula and, you know, and.
I think it was a citizen asked,
It's the
the
tree.
museum or the library,
Yeah, she did
but
ask.
we should clarify that one.
Rural, small town Montana, there's some beautiful history. It's
It's
beautiful.
10 years from now.
You know, cause I read,
Have not
you know,
heard any
the book Taft,
meeting.
on how they did the railroad, you know, and they did the Taft Tunnel. And it was fascinating because they started on the west side of the mountain, the east side of the mountain, and they started drilling, and they were within a quarter of an inch.
Just put it out of the way.
And they didn't have lasers, and they didn't have, you know, this, yeah. You know, the, what do you call it, the Scandinavians, you know, came in, and I was like, who knew? Cause I've done the Hiawatha Trail, you know, and it's like, that kind of stuff.
Don't look so serious, but.
Creek.
Don't look so serious.
Yeah, you know, and,
Right now.
from 9 o'clock on Flat Creek and Pardee and, you know.
You guys are already meeting from 9 o'clock till 4.
Interstate at 8
Yeah,
miles an hour, and all you see in are trees, you know, they're trees. And you think, no, there's no house all over this place. And it was like, that was the most fascinating thing to me. And then I applied for the,
No, I mean,
I got the van, and I took one of the fellas out.
I'm not,
So
9
we're
Mile.
just gonna leave it then?
I don't know. Yeah, we're not necessarily bothered by people visiting.
Well, what it does is it interferes with the public knowledge of the administrative business that's happening up here when that conversation is so loud. The administrative business is public and
They can come up if they want.
I know, and they're not here for the administrative business. So the conversation is a distraction to the administrative business up here. I'm trying to record what you're doing for administrative business and I'm getting this instead.
Yeah.
You're in meeting from 9 until business is concluded.
So there's a bonus. Yeah. But yeah, so anyway, that's there, and so I just like, you know, it's like, ooh, there's like,
Discuss.
yes, exactly.
I know that during, you know, from 10:05 on, I do want to let
Maintain
people
the order, but they're free to come up here anytime.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that they are free to come up there anytime for administrative business. The public is here, right here, wanting to know what administrative business is done. And when this conversation is louder than everything else, then the public is not able to see the administrative business done. So that's what I'm asking, is for this meeting to be a meeting and not a social hour.
I understand your request, and Commissioner Zalawi and myself, and I don't know about you, Commissioner Simons, during administrative business, I'm very comfortable with letting the public use this time to chat. I do think that once 10:05 comes, that we need to remind people in the back of the room and in the hallway not to be chatting, but at this time, I don't have an issue.
No, I don't either.
The public does. The public wants to see the administrative business being done. I'm sorry that you feel that you don't be bothered by it, but the public is. This is our table, not yours.
Well, I'm going to state that I think that we are in charge of this, and we would love for more public to come in and they can come up and see what we're doing. But we have a consensus here that during administrative business,
Are you afraid that you're gonna I mean, 'cause you can see everything.
Well, I can see from this angle, I can see table of papers. But when you're discussing things like the minutes, which are not on the agenda, the public has the right to hear what you're discussing. It's non-ministerial, we have the right to hear it. That's what we're asking for.
Yeah, there was just something omitted from the minutes and I asked.
And that's exactly what the public would like to be able to hear at the administrative table.
Yeah.
You serve the public, not yourselves.
This is not the official minutes, we're adding.
I know, those are the draft, and
Changes, yeah.
that's exactly it. The changes that will
And they
be,
should be on the table.
the draft is on the table, and any changes you make, how do we know if we don't hear the conversation? Because it's not on the agenda.
So we, you know, the public is here, and we do serve them as well. During administrative business, we did hear a consensus that while we're working up here, if the public wants the opportunity to chat, they are welcome to do so. That was a consensus, and I think it's a good one for the public when they're in here to be able to do that.
It's bad business to not be transparent with the public, where you feel that conversations in the back of the room are more important than the business being done at the table. The conversations can go to the hallway.
We have finished this conversation, but thank you. We have finished the conversation.
But the minute changes that I suggested will be on the final one will be.
Yeah,
Correct. The public has the right to comment or make corrections to the minutes, correct?
All right.
No, here's
I have one thing here is, I understand what you're saying, I understand what Dawn's saying. I think this should be for open comments, if we're gonna make comments on it. You know,
Julie,
isn't there open?
I understand what Juliet's saying. You're saying that we're gonna
No,
have.
I understand what you're saying, Juliet, honestly, I do.
It's a business meeting. It starts at 9 o'clock. When the conversations in the back of the room are louder than the conversations at the table, then business is not being conducted in front of the public. The conversations are. I'm asking strictly for the conversations to perhaps leave to the back, to the hallway, and not be louder than the table. That's
You
it.
mean like what they're doing right now?
Correct. That is a distraction to business at
Well,
the table that the
again, though,
public
I'm
has the
going
right to see.
we are serving the public. We have public in front of us, and we are serving the public. This is not to be contentious. These are the people that came in, and during this administrative time, we had a consensus that that was all right for the public to be chatting in the room. And we're gonna stay with that.
But regarding the minutes, we could put it, we could have the agenda item where 10:05 review and suggest changes, and then.
That's fine, I do want to bring this up, that the minutes are a product of the governing body.
Right.
And so the public can comment about that, but we don't work according to the public and what they say about our minutes.
If they're incorrect, the public isn't allowed to correct them?
Juliet, that's not what I said. I said that they are a product of the governing body. You can comment about the minutes, but you have no power to make changes. If you want to tell us you spelled this person's name wrong, we are so happy to fix that because we don't want those little things going wrong. But you had said earlier something about the minutes and being able to comment. I'm just letting you know, we're a product of the governing body.
Dawn, do you recall the closed meeting and how we consulted, or I should say Roman consulted with the lawyer about changes that needed to be made to those minutes because they were not accurate, nor were they correct in who was in the meeting? And when Roman contacted the Mako lawyer, he said, yes, you did need to list who was in the closed meeting. Had I not brought that up, the closed meeting would have existed with no one there. So we're not allowed to comment to change the minutes. Are you sure about this?
Juliet, I'm going to repeat what I said, and you can interpret that any way you want. But I said the minutes are a product of the governing body. The public may comment about the minutes, but have no power to make changes. That is what I said, and I stand by that.
Originally, you told me no, and yet
Juliet,
Mako
I'm
told
done
you
arguing.
yes.
Juliet, we don't need to argue. There's my statement and I'm sticking to it. Now, we don't need to argue about this. Let us finish our business. Thank you.
This is business. This is public business. This conversation is public business. This is,
How many Post-its? I think we need to flag that.
I do not.
We're trying to figure out, is that fair stuff or what is that?
Jen Donovan.
I didn't
The
notice.
water's going down,
Yeah,
Oh,
instead of still running away.
that's one thing I have noticed this year. That's one thing I have noticed this
It
year,
does.
that it is going into
But
the
we were
ground.
trying to figure out, yeah, what would
You
that
know,
be
it
for?
hasn't,
I
it
mean, if
didn't
she
have
is
that
signing
big
it, then it's for
rain,
that.
my ground is more wet.
but yeah, but
That
that
means
that's not their name.
it's
Yeah, I don't
Oh,
know.
all right. Means we're not gonna have any more freezing rain.
Well,
Do you have a little cheat sheet
the
for the
nice
fund
part of
account?
it is means for the first time in a few years,
We
we're
do
actually
have
putting
that.
some moisture back in the soil. Instead of feeding it to Washington State to flush fish. So I hope that it will keep cool, like it's trying to keep doing. I like the fact that for every 75 years, we put moisture down and then the borough pit and then go away.
I wonder if you can tell from this isn't the cheat sheet at all.
Oh,
The difference.
oh, I've got one, I've got
Well, see,
one.
you from but not limited to where this was.
Oh, but didn't we find out that wasn't accurate?
I've got two,
The old
I've got,
one was.
I've got an old one and a new one.
The old one was more accurate.
August, that's when you had very little water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Oh, yeah, it is Jen Donovan. 2970, and look at the, so that's the Jen Donovan program.
Was it snowing over at your place, Dave?
Oh, okay, Dwayne signed it, he asked about it, but he does have it signed, so that's
Okay.
good.
Dawn, can I see that document you're reading your comments on minutes from? Because you seem to have a document you were reading
You know, it
from.
came from Dan Clark, and I just simply wrote down those words. And he said the minutes are a product of the governing body, and the public may comment about the minutes, but have no power to make changes.
I'd like to see where that's written. I'd like to see where the lawyer got it, and usually the
Dan
lawyer,
Clark isn't a lawyer.
okay,
He is our open meeting law expert.
and I'd like to see where that's written.
Oh, Roman can
I
show that to
think I
you.
can find it.
Thank you.
Oh, and you wanted me to find that,
Yeah, I want you.
Email
And
from
actually,
him.
all of us deal closely with all of the lawyers, so any one of us would be apt to ask general counsel a question or Dan Clark. He just happened to have been recently at some meetings with Dan Clark and was able to get a response very quickly.
He's also asked during meetings here and brought answers.
Then there is.
About what month do you think?
Oh,
Oh, this one?
March, let's
One of
see.
those days already?
well, I just don't feel great, so.
He'll want to go back to the March minutes as the most.
Yeah, well,
I don't know why, I can't
I'm
find
trying to get out of here before I expose anybody.
Oh,
I'll check
gotcha.
my personal.
Came in there. Trying to get everything set up. Really neat stuff. Yeah, cool. Howdy. Where you go?
We got everybody here.
So, last two, ran out of time. Could you have somebody else copy for me? I only have one side, so it takes a long time.
selecting.
Nope.
Yeah, I only have one.
Would you have on your computer the March LEPC?
Darren, did they take you away from the fancy chair this week?
Oh, he's just figuring this
I'm
out.
trying to figure this out.
Oh, okay. I'm just
It's gonna be
teasing.
closer though over here to a plug-in,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that computer has to be plugged in all the time.
And then
Okay.
I'm gonna be here for you.
Well, then we'll put it over there. I don't see myself
I'm
taking
okay.
Yeah,
going before the
is
meeting
that gonna
starts.
work?
What
Do you need?
Good morning, Miss, how are you?
I'm okay.
Cold? Oh, please.
I know, my nose runs, my nose runs, but I'm cold.
You know, here is the biology class.
March. The March minutes from LEPC.
To squeeze it out. But when you're outside.
I'll go see if someone knows.
Should it not be just drier than dry?
Well, that is not gonna get done before the meeting starts.
Oh, we checked it out.
Just so
It's
you
Jen
know.
Donovan. And usually the time in advance. Yeah, yeah. It's I don't even know whether.
I mean, those are all true, but
I think that's odd.
like, well, my cold, I think it's worse.
Well, such a. Oh, we never hear one of them.
Now, can I get one of you to sign that real quick while you're out there?
That's psychological, but I don't think it's serious.
Take some stuff for you.
You're not, I told you, you're not.
Yeah, you put water?
Yeah, right?
I never tried that, it doesn't work.
Absolutely. I did it all the time. So people
You
do.
were fun to have at a
And who
party.
is
So people
this?
do that, just drop it.
Who's that?
Like this, 'cause they.
Or wear gloves.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like, you know, it's like,
So anyway, there's.
yeah, you're later.
I looked at the receipt.
I'm so glad they didn't.
Yeah.
You
Oh, you don't have to.
We got it, in fact, Joe said there isn't any.
Good.
Can't
Oh, that's
really
like
hear
today
you.
in Middle County, yeah.
Exactly.
How many tonight trips do you
Yeah,
have?
someone will sign that one.
It's round robin.
Round robin, can you take that one?
I'll send
That's
that.
amazing, you guys are amazing.
But it, you know, but it's like, that's why we're here, and that's why we're here.
Yeah,
And I don't do it for any reason other than I love to drive, and it's their gas.
Here's that one.
those are two good reasons, I don't think that I love to drive.
You know, and
That's
so,
my problem.
I mean, Monday I went to Deer Lodge,
For the,
yeah,
wow.
and then Tuesday, I was.
7, 8.
What's very much, what's over there?
Mental
You
health
must
something.
have-
Oh, okay, and then, Tuesday I had two folks in, wherever it is.
That one
Missoula.
wasn't working.
Okay, so, and then Wednesday I went to Frenchtown, yesterday I was in Missoula, today I
Would
did.
you like the case?
I'm anxious to see that, especially because it's one that I've been doing.
And you have Saturday and Sunday off all the time.
Yeah, we don't drive on Federal Road.
It was
I must have just sometimes, visit the dialysis.
So do they do dialysis
Flathead.
on weekends?
Yeah, we say in Flathead, not in. So that's good for us.
I didn't even know this.
Just like those. I don't think he's ever jumped out of an airplane.
I'm certain.
You're right.
I have.
I've been certified with
Does she
this.
feel it? Yeah.
That's it, if I remember one.
I never skipped a day. I mean, I never.
No, but the, what's on the major today? Geography. I did 2 years in Kimmy. Geography is about where we are.
Maybe this is yours. Maybe.
Geologists, because of soil failures, slope failures,
Yeah,
things like that.
and geographers do all of it, except they know just enough to be dangerous. None of it to be useful, just enough to be dangerous.
No matter which one.
But that's it, it's a little bit of everything, that's the nice part of the education. It's way round. But that's why it was such a radical deal when that went down there, because that was after the 70s.
Right.
And they
I'm
would
gonna make
all
sure that I
own gunny
call
bags, because they filled
this
them.
today. I won't create it.
then they forgot to realize, when you get this super wet, it's gonna go.
And it, again, like I said, it happened again and again and again out on that whole area.
Yeah.
They've had, as many as 10 different areas that have been
So
declared.
just said that.
Didn't you just set those there?
That's,
I
I
don't
mean,
have
if
a,
you track, okay. Put that in your file, then.
I have enough stuff in my file. Did you look at these?
And what about the,
Yeah, he's working on that.
You gave me back good.
fell behind there, bud?
right here.
Looking something up for Juliet.
Enough of the public. I'm telling you.
Just checking.
So I wasn't surprised when I talked to Custer. He wrote,
Customs was my background.
yeah, that's what he does, but anyways, I talked to him the other day about the whole construction bill. He said, here's the thing. If you went to UBC, the UBC was to build a lot a year ago. They had 16 foot, 4 foot wall, driveway, 4 foot wall.
So, who do I need to email to get those? Who does those? Who sends them to us? Amy?
Yeah, but I think, yeah,
I'll have
we
it
should
sent.
have them because I inadvertently had you print those before they were official.
Because no one can afford anything because
That's
Last
okay.
week? Last week?
No, I think maybe the week before.
Okay,
That's
well
okay.
then I have them then.
Okay.
I just
It's
haven't-
not a sense
Okay. Here's, I just got this from Joseph. Show, that's the bid for,
We ran the numbers a year ago.
to frame in that, fill it, the wall.
And okay, and that will be discussed. Do we have a bid for putting a door in?
And they said, it's a big.
Because we do need a bid for putting a door in.
This year.
Okay, no, I don't.
Yeah, we have to have, yeah.
Okay, well, here's pen out and then Dwayne, and I made a copy for Norm.
Okay.
And then I'll get with him and say,
Sure.
hey, ship us
Or
a
no,
bill.
you can do that, whatever, you know.
Okay,
You're tired and if you need to go, I mean, sick, then you go and Norm can do that.
okay.
Norm has all this information.
Like I said, he's just been
Great.
talking to me, because.
No, I know that, and you've got such a full plate. If
Oh, I
we're
know.
going to have Norm take it over.
And I will, I'll get with Norm and have him.
I can do that for you.
Okay.
Jennifer's, so, we got 3, we just priced out, we just got our number listed.
But Joey did say that this would be the most cost effective.
He did, right, you did tell me that, but we have to have the other options too, because, you know, at one time, somebody cut a hole in the wall. And so, what are we gonna do, plug the hole up and then cut it out again?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll just,
I'll just let Norm handle it, but,
okay, I'll give Norm a little ring-a-ding right now.
That's amazing.
This is.
So, hey, Darren, when you were talking about that
Go
door,
up, did it,
did you talk about a barn door?
12 months ago.
no, we were talking about either a solid door or a pocket door. But any door is gonna be
So I ran the math and I thought.
way more than this.
Yes,
Yeah,
It's an
but
interesting thing that you'd have that much.
so I just called Norm, and we're gonna have Norm give Joey a call
Just on those.
and get a bid for a door, and we'll include the barn door option. Yep, so I've just sent, oh, hey, come on up.
You walk by.
I'll give you that.
And I have my note, I'm gonna give him this with a note on it.
Okay, here, take yours then.
Norm, could you give Joey a call and ask for a bid that would include, you know, a regular door and also a barn door? This is a bid just to fill the wall in, but we need a couple of other bids, we need to see other options too. And this, you know, might be our best, so please remember to ask him about barn door.
He did say that would be a problem because we're all using
Yeah.
Okay, barn door would be.
Yes.
What do you say about a regular door?
What was that? $600 last week?
Okay, let's get a bid from him.
Yeah, $1,500 or $1,800, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we'll get a bid.
Okay. For just a regular door, and that's just a residential door too, not
Yeah.
a solid wood door.
Yeah, not like
A
these.
a solid wood door would be like $4,000,
Yeah.
3,800.
Okay, all right, I'll give him a call.
Thank you, thank you. Maybe he could fax a bid over. Not that he needs to, but,
I don't know if he has a fax machine, but I can see.
okay, very good, thank you.
All right. Well, I'll go take one more quick look then, because if we have them.
Okay, so, do you want me just to go ahead and check on the computer and the option of microphones today?
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna work today.
Okay,
Today. I'll mess with it this week and get it working maybe. Hopefully.
What we were trying to do is we had it done and then we got undone. We were trying to use, for part of the heat, was natural gas.
You know.
Okay, here's-
Not a computer.
So you take it, the run the line and stuff, to natural gas.
look here.
So what we figured out is all the tires burn.
On March 3rd, were we waiting?
I know. So instead of burying all these tires and doing that, why not take the tires, run them through the natural gas?
Do you have your minutes?
Submit.
Yeah, that,
There's a market for
March
tires.
3rd for April
Today?
7th?
no, I thought it was.
So what we
Yeah.
can do is.
Yeah, yeah. Did you get it go through? Okay, because I found March 3rd, Roman made some changes.
But the bigger problem is there's a market for this car.
Now I'm gonna go through them, then I'll hand you mine and you can go through them.
Go for Holman and try it.
March 4th, that would be correct.
And then Idaho, Handy Cements in Idaho myself. And Montana's the EQ.
Did we do anything about this?
So,
That covers? With Norm?
actually, what they wanted it for wasn't so much roads, it was to make a whole lot of different components of some plastic. It goes into computers, the screen, like the black plastic on your camera there. Part of that plastic is carbon black, it's been restricted for whatever else.
That's which we back to paper and
It's
pencil.
like that.
Sometimes
Sometimes.
technology is really good at times. And
And then it's like, yeah, no.
I'm not a tech.
Yeah, I get it. When all else fails, do a hard thing.
I mean, I'll play with it, I'll figure it out.
Hard to make everybody happy.
I don't know what this was.
Yeah, that is amazing, though, but see, that tells you right there, they have no.
Sort of step away from the table.
Talking about percentage completion on
Oh.
underground plumbing. And they helped me improve 4%, and I was at 27%.
Wow.
Massive, and I just started listing everything we had done, everything was done, everything was done. Okay, whatever.
Oh, sorry. Hey, did you get a chance to call about those gutters?
No, not yet. He gave me a quote so far for that, and he's gonna get a quote on the gutters and stuff. We're gonna have to do gutters pretty much everywhere. Right, so.
So you and Sauer are coming to us.
Prioritization.
You can make it.
That's a good thing. I'll get it right.
Is there any-
But it's the way it's looking, how it's gonna be a
Did you
little.
want to get it on that? He said I'll wait till Dwayne.
The way my budget's looking right now, I got an update from Kellyanne, about 16 grand to get me to budget time.
So, because I'm talking about getting the income fixed.
But she
The
told me,
last Saturday in March.
yeah, but I kept thinking April first.
We still got to meet spring
And I knew I was in Chicago, so I said, I'm not even.
So here's my question to Mr. Clark. He makes that manual up for all of Montana for the boards, town councils, commissioners. So I asked him this question on the blue, and then his answer is in the orange. You can go ahead and look at that.
What do we want to do about that?
Oh, is that where they're going? That's where the other, all right.
And then scroll down, because I have a follow-up question. That one might help you also.
We did get payback from insurance for our agent. So the money is still floating around. So, I'm 18 grand in the hole.
Let's come back here, Jeff.
And then,
How are you?
yeah,
Haven't seen you in a while.
already
Okay?
get back for insurance,
Oh, good, sick.
yeah, 3,700, yeah. I think we have 22 grand. The money still exists, it's just my budget's going absolutely heinous. Because I don't have a income.
No, thank you. Because then I'll have to go outside.
I just went.
I knew that.
Yeah, you knew that.
So it just goes back to the have to do it, budget amendment, but wait till, because Kellyanne's gonna have, our CPA basically highlighted, go.
I'm just gonna read it.
Oh, you did get it? Yes, I broke on it.
Oops, oh no.
So, yeah. So, I mean, you can, you know.
So, also in passing the minutes in public meeting, that is their own action item on the agenda, not mixed as administrative business, correct? This is what Roman is asking, the open law specialist. I am not certain what administrative business represents on your agenda. If it is the same as consent agenda, where the commission approves multiple administrative matters like minutes, claims, approval of contracts, they can be placed in a single motion and approved at once. If a commission has a question or an issue with one of the items included in the consent agenda, they request to have it removed and dealt with separately from the approval of the whole package. Again, this is up to the discretion of the commission. First, what do you have for rules of procedure or bylaws for a policy? We have none. If the county has not adopted a policy for how approval of the minutes are included in the agenda, then create a policy stating what will be included in the consent agenda or approved separately. MCA does not provide any direction on this. Robert's Rules of Order states you can do it either way. And who all can suggest changes, if any, to the minutes prior to the passing? Does the public chime in also? For this question, I have always taken the position, oh, so that's his position, not written. For this question, I have always taken the position that the minutes are a product of the governing body. Correct. The minute taker should do their very best to accurately reflect the substance of all things proposed, discussed, and decided by the governing body, and make a record of the meeting consistent with the body's minutes. The body reviews the minutes to ensure their accuracy, then approves the minutes. The public may make comment about the minutes, but they do not have the power to make changes. If after a hearing input from the public, hearing input, i.e. agenda item, if after hearing input from the public, the commission can propose amending the minutes, but any proposed changes are at the discretion of the commission. So when they're inaccurate, it is up to you guys to change it, but we do have the ability to comment on them, and then,
So if you guys want to know.
once again, you represent the public in changing it to being accurate.
Those guys is too.
The
Dan.
minutes from last week are inaccurate.
That is right. Yeah, he's doing
Yeah.
a series of trainings for Skype Testing Authority on public meetings. And we've had.
I think it's very important the minutes here under the Fair Board
But they're on.
to reflect
they're
that
on,
Dawn gave their pretty stern warning to raise their own.
So this is.
Oh, the meetings are?
these trainings are.
Oh,
And the fourth one is
Suggested or
going
is
to
there
be
one?
about,
She was pretty strong about it last week, that they need to
Always
raise
glad.
their money.
Yeah.
They need to have a access plan.
Okay, but that was.
Because they offered option A and two, they said option A and B, but Don came back to the end and said, you guys need to have a backup plan and raise your own funds.
People don't understand.
That's pretty
But
important.
that was probably when I said, that's when I brought up, include the contributions in kind from the tree removal and.
Exactly, and it's a big public to know that there's a ton of in-kind donations happening.
so my
But it made it
sister
sound
left
like
me
there
this
wasn't. This
pre-cooked
doesn't
bacon
reflect
in a
that.
box.
I'll add that.
Thank you.
Pre-cooked bacon in a box, have you ever seen it? Is it good?
Yeah, you can. It works really good, like if you're gonna wrap something with bacon, you know, like scallops or something, if you're gonna wrap them, it works really good because you don't have to cook it very long. You just warm it up.
So it's in a box in the cupboard, right?
Or melt it, somebody gets it.
Yeah,
Or you keep it in your refrigerator.
I haven't opened it, is it flexible?
Yep, sure. Make you wonder, don't it?
Yeah, it does make you wonder, yeah, it's kind of like shelf-stable milk, you know?
When I had mine first, I thought I could go to the site. No, I was running the DAD. And so I had to have everything, I had to have sorry. Yeah, I was sure. Thank you.
I've got, I can't think of the name of those things. I meant to take a picture because I was gonna order more, but it's basically the same thing and it's, but I don't know if it's.
That's because your name is. Like girlfriend. There's some on it, it comes through.
I know, and I'm trying to.
No, I don't have it in here, so.
Tell Mary Jo.
Or at least I'm gonna look.
Yeah, I got this, I'm ready.
But they have them.
So Commissioner Otero asked that the Fair Board also try to raise funds as well. Commissioner Blaui asked that they include the volunteer work and costs that they are donating for things like tree removal and excavation.
And then, down here under the tax thing, when I suggested looking for grants like that, I did not suggest it as a tax thing. I suggested it for 911 verification of addresses. I would appreciate if that was corrected, because I'm not. Yeah, it was in verifying addresses. Because I know that there's grants for that. Matter of fact, Town Poppin probably.
Maybe they'll start to grow.
To locate address.
Yeah, verify addresses.
They don't. That's right. Let me see this house.
Let me see, correctly, Carlos's name.
Yeah, yeah.
She joined.
Yeah, I think I spelled it right. I didn't see the signage sheet.
SCHWAWADERER.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yep.
Oh, thank you, Ken.
They emailed it to you this time. You guys figured it out.
Sure.
Oh, they emailed that. Yeah, well, she sent it off yesterday or the day before, but it's. Yeah, that's good. They're the way to find
Oh, okay, yeah.
Be mad at you because all these things out of order.
You got them out of order.
I haven't even started. And
I kept.
oh, here they are. Oh, that's why they're out of order. Dawn's.
And they're not
Okay, I apologize. Not your fault.
I kept all mine in order.
Okay.
And then I wake up.
I didn't even mean to grab them, but they came with the checks. And I took those up. They're happy now.
was like the senior champion of retired science teachers in a contest.
There was
She laughed, she says, I don't think I remember reading this. I'm like, oh, like, she lives by herself. Three-story house, does her own yard work, does her own groceries, she cleans her own house. She's totally
Self-sufficient.
I get this from her. Okay? I have this thing on the wall that says, if you met my mother, you would understand. So anyway. I woke up to her and was like, oh, I think I found her. Yeah.
Was she a teacher?
Mhm.
Did she teach science?
Yes.
Oh, she did.
So it's very connected.
Yeah, yeah,
So, yeah.
connected to reality.
Mhm.
Well, mine's connected
That
too,
gets
but
too loud or
it's
something.
about, mostly about my sister who's deceased.
Oh,
And she's back, and she's haunting.
I'll turn my.
there you go,
I
yeah.
told her she can come stay anytime she wanted, but she's still.
Invite her in, yeah.
Yeah. And they're just upsetting. So. Guess I should.
He's gonna be able to actually go to do 4,500 feet and he's down to
Yeah. And not all of one either. It's a higher percentage.
Yeah, exactly.
Higher percentage.
True that.
That's pretty close to true.
I know.
Yeah. Although we've got some young families that have come in with weekends. I went to that St. Patrick's Day party. Yeah, the rec party, yeah, the rec club party. And,
Is it downstairs?
that's right, yeah. Well, look, there's so many little kids there. I was the evil witch. Because I locked the door so they wouldn't keep coming in. And this poor little kid started out the door, he couldn't open the door. And I put my face down to Kelly, and the door was locked, and I was on the outside. He went,
Yeah.
I think I scared him.
Hey, Darren, leave.
I did offer him.
I think so.
I'm just gonna shut this down and take care of it.
He said he was sick.
There he is.
Russell's feet. Oh, there he is.
Oh, Darren, are you ready for me to shut this down?
Yeah, go ahead, go
Okay.
ahead, chill it.
Trying to find insurance for a couple of projects, liability insurance. I'm not sure where to go.
I guess we're not as smart as we thought we were.
Well, yeah, and I got Emily Park is supposed to give me information about the CDC.
Agenda.
I never been on that committee.
And they have to put it in, so that everybody who owns any kind of like county property, you know, they have to have their insurance when they make it. So, what's the reason?
Okay, I'll play with that next week. I'll see if I can get it working.
Yeah, I think, I was trying to remember the Mineral County, whatever it is. Organization. See what it is the NRC owns the property, but we also have to have insurance for profit.
Right, exactly.
You know, they won't give us $800 pass until, or whatever it is, use permit, until we have insurance. We can get it.
Oh, yeah, sure, you should be using this.
You Google it.
Yeah.
And then another project,
What's it called? What's it called?
Okay, what else do you need? Oh, okay.
What do I need?
No, anything else that you?
We're just required, the land use permit requires us, we already have a contract,
Okay.
Don't have the house covered, because I don't.
the NRC does.
Easy. Okay, can you put that on your desk? Thank you. Look at my papers, you don't want to lose that.
Yeah. Is there anything else?
Chicken scratch?
Yeah, the only thing I was going to say, and not that you need school buildings, but, past tense.
Oh,
Simply because Darren was going to change that past tense.
oh, okay.
And that's something I've checked on.
Asked versus asked.
Yeah, everything is past tense.
Very good.
Thank you.
You know what's so funny? She lived in Atlanta. Virginia. Hi, Glenn. How are you doing? No driving today for anybody, huh? See? Oh, you do have one? What time? Zilla? Who you driving? Who you driving? Tell me.
Yeah, I know, I drove home on Monday.
Should we just start up this?
If you belong to that. You're on that committee too, or belong to the museum committee, or whatever it is. I belong.
I know you never show up, I'm just saying.
Just saying, I know. I don't belong to the board, I just pay my dues.
I thought.
No, Mary, I visited with Mary Jo briefly yesterday at the SNS. Yeah, we don't have anything tomorrow, next week.
Yeah, I didn't know what the green note was.
She and what's his name, are headed to.
Just to let you all know, there's fresh coffee in the back. We just made another pot. Help yourself. And then there are some sugar-free, toxin-free chemicals in the fridge to add to your coffee if you like cream. Nut pods.
And that's what she said, they hadn't been there since, and because.
Morning,
she wants to
Glenn.
go before, his mom comes out.
Morning.
So they needed to have some me time.
So, Don was there.
Yeah, so she started talking.
I got my door open.
Okay, so that's the gap in the.
Oh, we need these, right? Or these the originals, or?
Right, okay.
They probably are.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know, I get it.
This one will be the Let's go look at that.
Yeah.
Did you get that?
Do you know when rapids can get insurance for temporary use permit?
I'm still looking for.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I know it, I know.
Oh, the folder to put those changed minutes in for Darren.
I already did. I got his, and I don't know if that's for, it might work for one of the things I need, but I need it for two different reasons. Right, events. Yeah, I looked on their website, it's camp something or other, and I'm going to contact them. But the other thing I need it for is not, that seems to be with recreational sports, with sports. And I don't know if they do, Bliss Chambers of Commerce, so maybe they do. So I'm gonna call them.
Oh, really?
No, but I mean as far as who they'll insure. And then concerts and all sorts of stuff. So we have a grant through the Montana Health Foundation to have meetings, the Big Sky Casting around the Authority does, to have meetings around the state, and we need to have, for their rules, we need to have liability insurance for
Break
those
between
meetings
this
also.
and that, so like this with it.
Okay,
You must
here are
have.
these. Which one? I have,
$67.
We've got six, we have at least 6 places, and one's in Paradise.
and these are done?
Which is pretty much set up, but, so I'm waiting to hear from Emily Park to see if she knows, and she had told me that they had some.
I don't really know, where is my,
Oh, I bug her all the time, and she sends me stuff more than once, so she's probably. I just emailed her this morning. Yeah, we have to have this project done by June, because it needs to go into the railroad authority or whatever it is, the National Railroad. For the grant stuff, and, we have to have insurance before we move forward in meetings. Yeah, that's a good idea, yeah, I'll ask this. Did you guys get it for the, do you have it for MCPAC? Are you on MCPAC? Is that for that?
is it ever be Jesus?
You must, though, because you have events all the time.
Take mine that's in the office there.
One time was in the,
And with this week coming up is at the high school.
That's
yeah,
right.
they yeah, we went to school.
It's at the high school.
But that's, well, he hasn't said anything, he's on our committee. He's on the board.
That's what Brianna does.
Yeah, I will, good idea. I need to get on it.
That's good idea. Mine at home. According to Verizon, it's 10:05. Please stand and join us in the pledge. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and welcome everyone. It's wonderful to see a full house. As we start public comment, just a few things. We've had some concerns about the chatter that takes place in the hall and the back of the room. So if during agenda times, if we could eliminate that chatter, please. Also, I just want to take a minute to remind everyone that public comment is not a time for debate. It's not a time for question and answer, and it's not a time for derogatory comments. We're all here with the same goal, and that is to improve our county. So with that in mind, let's start public comment.
Lance Jasper. Just a couple things. One, I would like to see the county acknowledge some of the heroes that did some remarkable things in St. Regis on the day of the shooting. I'm a little bit embarrassed at this point that we haven't acknowledged some of the citizens that did things that are unbelievable, that saved many lives at own risk to their own. And I think that honoring also first responders, sheriff's office, having been there and seen what happened, and a part of that and watching people do extraordinary things. I'm ashamed that we haven't done something to show what people from Mineral County will do for others. So I really would like to see that done. I see it done all the time in Missoula, honoring citizens that have done extraordinary things along with law enforcement officers. I also think the county should send a real thank you to the neighboring counties for their law enforcement that responded as well on it. I don't know, just because this happens in St. Regis, and sometimes I feel like they're kind of the bastard child of the county that they've been ignored. But the fact fact of the matter is, some amazing things happened that day, and many of them were by young people, and some others that should be acknowledged. Second thing is, I believe it is now appropriate that the county get an independent investigation into what is taking place in the courthouse and the hostile work environment that many of these people are enduring in different departments, including the county attorney's office. I don't believe this board is capable of that investigation and doing it in an independent manner. And at this point in time, it is essential that these employees that work here do not have to fear reprisal or retaliation on it. I also would point out that the issues now with the two individuals who left the county attorney's office, that just has to be investigated, and it can't be done by this board. Clearly, there's just a bias that exists, and if that's not done, I think it really just goes to show that the fears that the employees have here are literally justified, because only way we're going to get a clear understanding of what's happening in this courthouse is with the independent investigation. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lance. Thank you for pointing out the obvious. I will concur with Lance that an independent investigation needs to be done. I see the culture of fear in this county courthouse from other departments with other departments. We have witnessed in public meetings overreach of the commissioners over other departments, over other elected officials, and how they run their departments. And I think that this is clearly a line that has been drawn that now says we need someone unbiased in here to look at this. The second thing I'd like to bring up is an agenda. And please, Roman, can this trigger an agenda item so that the public may comment on this? I am asking for a proper agenda that has the minutes on it, because we are allowed to comment on them and to make recommendations to the commissioners for changes. I'm asking for that to be put on the agenda. I'm asking for old business and new business. And the reason for this is because your agenda today reflects things that have been forgotten, that have gotten lost in the shuffle, like Willie Peck's contract. Willie Peck's been doing work for 4 months, and this is just now coming back up. I think that if you had an appropriate agenda, then you wouldn't have as much pushback on a lot of things, and things would not get left, like the gutters that now need to be replaced. This should be an ongoing old business. The mitigation for the rest of the mold should be on an old business so that it gets followed and the public can follow what the progress is. I think by not having an agenda and by having what you call your administrative hour, you're slighting the public in letting us know what you're doing during that administrative hour, and you are doing things that the public has the right to comment on, so please bring them to the agenda. We've asked for this more than 4 weeks, much like the minutes are inaccurate in reflecting. I've only been asking for 4 weeks. I would like for the public to be able to participate in their government as we are given the right by our Constitution. Please adjust the agenda to reflect the business that is done. Thank you.
Mike Galloway. So I think that the public out here needs to stop trying to micromanage how the commissioners do their business. I've read the open meeting laws many times, and I know that the minutes, the stuff that you do up here is all public information, and I'm not expecting you to hold up every piece of paper you sign. Say, here, we signed this if you want to read it. As long as this information is available to the public, whether it is your minutes, I don't know if it's required that they're attached to the agenda. I don't know why they couldn't be, but as long as all this information is available to the public, if the public is willing to come in and look for it, take a little initiative if they're that concerned, then if it's available, I believe you guys are meeting your requirements. So I don't think you have to go quite as far as what some people think. It's up to the public to take some initiative, get over lazy, come in here, get the information they need. So as long as you're not hiding information or changing the information and is available to the public, I believe you meet the intent of all open meeting laws. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rick Miller. This is in regards to what's been going on Facebook. You know, I'm not quite certain how this is, it has something to do with recording of the meetings and stuff. Albert Einstein was attributed with this quote regarding insanity. The definition of insanity is repeating the same mistakes over and over again and expecting different results. Please take a moment and reflect on how much our county has changed in the last 20 years and try and come up with 3 things that are better in that time. It is my belief that recording and uploading these proceedings is of vital importance. Far too many highly circumspect decisions have been made here that run counter to the long-term health of our county. That said, if I understand the circumstances correctly, the individuals recording the meetings were asked to move approximately 3 feet. They weren't asked to stop, do it from the back of the room or the hallway. No law enforcement officer came to their residence to threaten or attempt to intimidate them. What is being proposed, or was on Facebook, is that Roman Zalawi is reinstated as chairperson because of this. Let's clarify what that means with just a few highlights. This is a return to meeting proceedings being edited. Sheriffs being anointed, much to the chagrin of the community. County attorneys being anointed, much to the chagrin of the community. Huge lawsuits. A judge overseeing reform in our county and a total disregard for the overall health of Mineral County. I've known Dawn Terrell for over 35 years and the rest of the family nearly as long. Not once has she ever lied. Not done what she said she would, was ambiguous or otherwise deceptive. Right now, it's my belief that Chair Lady Terrell is trying to get these proceedings to adhere to some of Robert's rules for meetings. This is called change. More and more things are being done here with public input actually being relevant and considered. I'm going to implore that we don't return to the status quo. Please record every instant of these meetings and upload them to the public. It is vital to the integrity of our local government, but please, let's try a different approach to making Mineral County a better place from everything than going back to what we were doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
appointing Diane Magone. I just wanted to comment on a couple of things that were brought up today. I want to thank Mike Galloway and Rick for pointing out that we need to move forward and we need to do this in a good manner and we need to appreciate the people we have here. I also want to address one thing that Lance Jasper said. I was here at the meeting, 3 weeks ago, shortly after that happened. Ryan was here, our sheriff, and he was publicly thanked by the commissioners for the job the sheriff's office had done. And he was also asked to find a time when the commissioners could bring in pizzas for the sheriff's officers. I was also here, luckily, the day that they were brought in because I got to try a piece of the pizza. But there has been some thank yous done. And I just wanted to point that out. I don't know what else Lance would like. We all appreciate our first responders, and we know they did a really good job. And thank God they were there, and we're able to stop things from getting much worse. But I do think that they have been thanked. Maybe should be thanked more. I don't know. Maybe I should write another letter to the editor. I haven't done that for a while. So anyway, just to let people know that some efforts have been made. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ken Burley. You know, I'm listening to all this stuff that we're listening to today, a lot of this rhetoric we've heard all before. The problem that I see with whether it's the minutes or any of the other problems we've talked about is the apathy on the part of the county commissioners. And the rain gutters are a classic example. 2 weeks ago we brought that up. I checked with the rain gutter local company today, still have not been contacted about our rain gutters. We're going to have rain, we're going to have water, we're going to have water right back in the jail again, we're going to have those problems. So I think that if the commissioners did have old business and we viewed the things that people suggest at these meetings and they responded to them, especially now that you're in the office during the week, you would have time to do some of those things and we would see results and we would not see as many comments as public comment if the things were responded to, but we keep going over and over and over the same thing. And just to respond to what Diane just said, yeah, there's been some appreciation shown, but I think what Lance was trying to point out that there were some citizens in St. Regis that did some things that probably need some recognition, along with some first responders, and we all know that the sheriff's office has been showing some appreciation, but maybe there's some others, and we should reach out to the entire county as opposed to just one department. And again, these things have been brought up before, and I think if they were acted upon, we would have less situations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Jenny Tubbs, and I listened to the general terms of the public needs to know, the public is this and that. And if you look, there are 15 folks here in this room right now that are the public. And out of the 4,500 people that are in Mineral County, that's a percentage of 0.003. I looked at the YouTube where the video is uploaded every Friday afternoon, and out of the 117 views that it had last week, that's a 0.02% of interest from the public. It's an open door meeting. The agenda, the minutes, the video, it's all available. It's open door. But I'm looking at 0.02% of the county that actually looks at that which is posted. Not being a mathematician, it's not a very high percentage of the people that are interested. And I listened to the folks that presented here earlier. They're using the I pronoun So it's a personal issue to that one person. I believe, I think, I want, I saw, I called, I talked. Let's talk about the county and find some way to get that information and those interest points out to the public, so it's greater than 0.02% of the people in our county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Clayton Ward, I just have one thing about this first responder recognition. It's not just the sheriff's department that are first responders. You bought pizza for the sheriff's department, fine. How about the other people? The people that saved that guy's life, that got him in the ambulance. How about all these other things that have happened? And the sheriff's department is getting all the recognition within this building, but no one goes outside this building. I have to agree with what Lance said, that, you know, we need to show more to the other people, as well as the community that may have been involved in that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anna Marie White. So just a couple of things. I was a few minutes late, so I missed some of what Lance said. But I do want to comment on a couple of things. And Jenny, I mean no disrespect to you whatsoever. I ran the numbers too, but we have to consider that out of that 4,500, how many are children? So I took those out and I just showed a higher percentage of folks being or wanting information and being involved. So I just wanted to point that out because that came up in a conversation I had with someone recently. So I think the interest is much higher than that. I do think, I brought this up before, that a sandwich board out there on Friday mornings would be awesome to say, commissioners meeting going on right now. I think that would be wonderful. There's, you know, folks that are just passing by that might pop in. It might remind them. They might then put it on their calendar for the next Friday. I have not seen the notes from the work session in regards to the mics and the recording and the Zooms or whatnot, but I think that work session may have addressed some of those things. I just haven't seen it. And I just want to remind everybody that on the 23rd, we're going to have our Earth Day cleanup at the fairgrounds. Want to extend an invitation to everyone here. And then I do have an idea that I would like to see happen during our fair to honor everyone that was a part of that situation a few weeks ago, and not just the responders, but the folks that were actually affected. So I will share that with you in a couple of weeks to see if I can get your buy-in and get you guys to participate in that with me. So anyway, that's all I have for today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, we don't. Oh, no. Extrapolate the children, because the school district doesn't have that.
So what I did is I did so when I did the demographics, so there's like you go to on some of the there's a science, go to demographics and the demographics are the information they can get, so they're not circular, but they will, so like on the one that's like red something, anyway, so these.
Red pen?
Is it? Okay, so they'll tell you to be red, and I guess within that city, there's an assumption of school children.
Assumption?
Yes, of school children, or children in modern schools, so if you know, so we just took all of those out, so just, kind of estimated guess, so there's 200 children in the school, there's, 60 children in the school, and we're just gonna remove, and then, yeah, in the big fund, because we just really, so we have folks that are living here, right? This they don't vote here, and I don't know how that happens. So these are gonna be, so say they have.
Yeah, if they're working, like I have a friend who's retired, they have neighbors that they're Alaskans, but they live there, they vote in Alaska, and they pay their taxes in Alaska.
So, don't
That doesn't give you, that doesn't mean that they're gonna vote.
so they're allowed to, but they're showing their population.
Because it's a tax base.
Right, yeah. So,
Can you extrapolate it from a real estate site? Not just a school site?
10:35, it is time for the Forest Service. Hello, Abby.
I guess I'll go first. My name is first in the alphabet. So good morning, Abby Lang, I'm the district ranger here in Superior. And got a few updates. Apologies for not making it in the month of March. Chris and I had a lot of required trainings we had to do to continue to prepare for the upcoming fire season. So thank you for your patience. The first update is regarding the Montana Water Rights Settlement Act. So the state has identified another 3.5 sections near DeBorgia that they would like the Forest Service to consider in the land exchange. In that area, we currently have no active timber sales, and all the fuels treatment has already been completed. And so I'm working through the staff on identifying any other notable items to relay to the state, and negotiations are ongoing.
So Abby, that's 3.5 sections to negotiate a trade with the NRC or the state or?
Yeah, the state of Montana.
Okay. So public land for public land. Forest Service for state.
Yes, and it's part of the Montana Water Rights Settlement Act.
Oh, okay.
That was passed in 2021 by Congress. And so it's a law that we have until 2025 to meet. Currently, we're still just identifying lands on the Flathead, the Lolo, and the Custer Gallatin for this land exchange. And once those lands are identified, we'll continue to work through the NEPA process on that. So right now, it's not a public comment period, but once we officially engage in NEPA, there'll be comment periods and all-day analysis.
So what's the goal or the intent? What the Settlement Act wants you to acquire these lands because why?
So, I will try to explain it as best as I can.
Just sum it up.
So the Flathead Reservation, there was DNRC lands within the reservation. And so those lands are going back to the federal government in terms of the reservation.
Okay.
And so the state needs to acquire those lands from Forest Service lands.
Okay.
So we're trading.
Okay, so the state land that currently exists on the reservation is gonna have to be.
Will be considered the reservation
Gotcha,
land.
so that will go back to the federal.
Yep.
And then you're gonna, okay.
And I would imagine, the DNRC will manage it, for timber production.
Right. Okay.
Any other questions on that?
Is there, when they did that, did they break it down proportionally, a ratio or something for each county? Or 3.5 sections in Mineral County was selected because that's what the state had available to barter with? Or is it going by population, or area?
I'm not exactly sure how the state decided on which lands they would like to, get from the federal. It was their decision.
Okay.
I would imagine, it meets with their management practices. So the commissioners submitted a letter to the Forest Plan Revision team, having Willie Peck as the representative as a cooperating agency for Mineral County. And we just need to cross a couple T's and dot some I's and make it 100% official. So the Forest Plan team is asking for an official letter from the commissioners identifying Willie Peck as the representative for the cooperating agency. Just to make sure we're 100% clear at the start of the process. Questions on that?
So that letter should, who do we address that to?
You can address it to Carolyn Upton,
Okay.
the forest supervisor.
And you said it's identifying him as the forest plan.
Officially, so it's not
Official,
just
yep.
somebody saying it.
Yep.
And then, as you can tell, the weather's starting to get nicer. We're getting into more burn windows. We're starting to open up some of our campgrounds, and so that means the district is getting a lot busier. If you drive by, you'll see the parking lot is almost 100% full, and the seasonals are starting to come on, and the St. Regis bunkhouse is starting to be filled. With that, we have hired 6 YCC folks from the local area, and they will be working on the recreation crew with Heather Berman this year. Campgrounds open in 6 weeks, so we'll be starting to prepare those. A press release will be coming out here in the next couple weeks. We will be offering free firewood gathering at the Cabin City Campground. It is green firewood, but it is already cut into rounds. And there'll be Forest Service personnel on site and can help load and whatnot. More information will come out in the press release. And additionally, regarding firewood, we are working on getting a letter out for Firewood Road collection. They'll open on June 1st and stay open until September 1st.
How green is that? Has it been laying on the ground for 6 months or?
It was probably cut yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Pretty green.
And our new AFMO has started in the fire shop. His name is Alex Brooks, and he started last week. You probably noticed some smoke maybe on Monday. We had our first prescribed fire up Flat Creek. This Sunday we are looking at the conditions, and we may do another burn outside of St. Regis. And there'll be another more formal press release from the forest about that coming out. And then our prevention tech, you know, he sends the emails 24 hours in advance of when we're gonna burn, and everyone should be in the loop, and you can check the Lolo National Forest Facebook page for all the updates on the specifics. And then planting season is also about ready to start to kick off. Monday, we had nearly 200,000 seedlings delivered to the office. We're looking at planting up to 800 acres of previously timber harvested areas and some fire restoration, and 22 acres of white bark pine planting. We should be offering in the next quarter the Quartz Campground timber sale, which we wouldn't be logging it until after the campground closes, but we finally got the permit needed for Montana Rail Link to cross one of their roads. And with that, that's all the updates I have. So do you have some questions for me before Chris starts?
Commissioner Simon?
I don't think so.
Romy, can we ask any questions?
Yeah.
Where is the land located that you are offering to trade? Is it right
In the
on
DeBorgia
the
area?
border?
In the DeBorgia area, you mean the 3.5 sections?
Yeah, is it at the border or?
No, it's right near DeBorgia, like near the interstate, pretty low down. There's some DNRC land adjacent to there.
Is it north of the interstate or south?
North and south.
Oh, okay. Anybody else have questions for Abby, the Superior Ranger?
All right, well.
All right.
Thank you.
We didn't even take a breath. You had all kinds of info.
Good morning. Good morning. Chris Noger, the 9 Mile Ranger District Ranger, USON, just over the county line, but about half of my district is in Mineral County, and the other half is here in Mineral County. So most of my news pertains predominantly to the district as a whole. I only have 1 or 2 talking points specifically related to Mineral County. The first is we did receive a letter from the county commissioners that was addressed to both the Lolo National Forest, FWP, and DNRC, encouraging us to continue and improve our collaborative efforts within the Fish Creek drainage. Right now, the Fish Creek drainage is being managed mostly by FWP. They're redoing their master plan. That might not be the correct terminology for it, but we are engaged with them. We received the commissioner's letter. We are responding to it. If you haven't already seen something, it was about 2 weeks ago I last saw a draft. I've been out of town, as Abby already mentioned, with training related to fire and things. So we are working on a response. I'm not sure what the status is on it, but we should have that back to you, a joint response. In addition, we have lots of stuff going on. It is spring. I wish I could say we were having some nice weather, but it was snowing when we left, or when I left this morning, and we had also planned on a prescribed fire for Sunday. That window looks like it's closing on us, so, but we are nonetheless in prescribed fire season, so we do expect to see some burning, particularly in the Frenchtown Face area, and a little bit maybe in the Sawmill Petty, the Petty Creek drainage. Those are the only plans that we have ready to go for this year, but we'll work on a couple more related to our admin area. Touch on our pack train. Our pack train's actually headed out this morning to the Backcountry Horseman event at the Majestic Arena. I've been told it's near Kalispell, but I think it's somewhere between Kalispell and Whitefish. We're doing some hiring. We did finally confirm that our new silviculturist is expected to join us on the 22nd of May. Our botany and weeds crew are starting the 24th of April. Our trails crew started this past Monday. We are going to be bringing on some MCC crews. We're looking at 2 small crews for our MCCs. Couldn't tell you which neighborhoods they've been hired out of, but they are all local. And most of our fire crew is also on board. Going to make one comment on the forest plan revision process. This past week we had 2 workshops related to proposed wilderness inventory. There were 4 workshops total, 3 in person, 1 virtual, and the comment period opens this coming Monday. It was originally slated for 2 weeks. We've just extended it to 30 days instead of the 2 weeks. That's not something we expect to do for every comment period. It was just because the workshops were so immediately preceding the comment period. There was some concern folks might not have enough time to prepare. And 3 significant things related to veg management, timber sale, and fuels reduction. One is the Sawmill Petty decision notice was signed about 3 weeks ago. We had sent out a press release, and within that decision, there are 4 timber sales. The first 2, Sawmill Gulch and Pepper Corral, are to the west and east of the Petty Creek drainage, respectively. The Sawmill Gulch is expected to go out for advertisement in the 3rd quarter of this year, which is kind of a fancy way of saying between May 1st and the end of July. And then the Pepper Corral is expected a quarter after. There is no anticipated date for the West Point or the South Garden sales. In addition, we're working on some old units from the Rennick Stark, some remnant units that were left over. They're right along the county line. If you go up the west or the 9 Mile Valley, they're just kind of south and west of the road, right along the county line. It's up Ellis Creek Road. I think there's 6 or 7 units that we're looking to make a small timber sale out of that were not completed during that process. And then lastly is we're working on a fuels reduction project, dubbing it West Side 9 Mile, and it's really kind of the upper end of the valley up towards the county line on the west side of 9 Mile. Looking at between 2,500 and certainly less than 3,000 acres for a fuels reduction project that will have some commercial timber in it is the expectation. Since we started looking at it, we haven't actually had a chance to put any boots on the ground because we started this conversation within the last 6 months and the roads are snowed in. So that's all I've got for 9 Mile. Any questions for me?
Yeah, Chris, I got a couple here. So you said proposed wilderness inventory. So can you explain to folks what the difference, when you use the word inventory, you also have inventory roadless areas, which are kind of basically non-motorized, and there's a proposed wilderness inventory. What can be the distinction between those 2 areas, which are basically sort of non-usable for people?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so inventoried roadless areas are a category of land, as is wilderness. While they have similar characteristics in that there's limited or no motorized use in them, the whole purpose is it's different levels. Inventoried roadless, or IRAs as we call them, we do have some tools at our disposal for managing things like fuels and vegetation, whereas wilderness is a much higher level designation. Comes from the Wilderness Act 1964, I believe. Really almost completely restricts any kind of management in those areas. So they're both restricted, but it's just 2 different levels. As far as the forest plan revision and the workshops that we had this week, we're not really at all looking at IRAs or inventory roadless areas. We're really only looking at what may be recommended for wilderness. kind of like the Great Burn. I'm sure most folks here are familiar with that. That is, used to be called proposed wilderness. Now we're referring to it as recommended wilderness. They're synonymous. It's the same thing. We're just trying to utilize the same terminology across the board. This comment period that opens Monday is really just a mapping exercise. And I'm going to use that map because it's colorful as an example. We have a map of the Lolo that looks like that. It's completely covered with different colored polygons. I don't know how many of them, but we're basically sending out a, hey, these are all the areas that if we look at the Wilderness Act that we think may be eligible to be proposed or I use the wrong word, recommended as wilderness. All we would like the public to input on is, did we miss anything? Or looking at that map, is there anything on that map that you think shouldn't be considered? And we've got a 30-day comment period. There's a great online tool on our web hub that you can actually scroll over, pick the polygon, and type in whatever you want about it. Whether you think it's good, whether you think we missed one, whether you think it's inappropriate, any of the above. We're taking all comments for the next, starting Monday for the next 30 days. Really, all we're trying to do is make sure we've got a good inventory and we've factored in all the eligible pieces of property, and we're going to have more commenting periods based off of all of the other factors that could or could not make them eligible in the future. I'm not sure if that answered your question.
Yeah, that did.
Okay.
But so follow up then, does that mean when you say eligible areas for inventory, does that mean there's a possibility that there could be newly made suggestions in addition to the Great Burn in our county?
That's exactly what it means. Based off, I participated in 2 of the workshops earlier this week, and I can't put hard, fast numbers on this because this would be looking into a crystal ball, but we looked at the number of acres that are on the map, and then we looked at other forests that have gone through recent forest plan revisions, and we looked at our history for previous forest plan revisions, and using incredibly crude round numbers, if there was 1 million acres on the map today, about 10% could expect it to make it to that final stage to where we recommend them, and then of course we don't make the determination as to whether or not it actually becomes wilderness. That's a congressional. So really we're just trying to make sure that everything that could be considered is being considered and that we're not missing anything, and then the conversation will dig down into whether or not it's actually suitable or appropriate to be recommended.
Okay. The reason I ask that is because, like you said, Congress makes that decision, but if it's proposed or recommended, it's de facto or by default treated as an approved wilderness. So that's why I'm asking that question, because we use the pronoun Jenny. I'm concerned about more of the land being basically just sitting there without any opportunity for our county to have any economic benefit. So I'm just concerned that forest revision plan, if someone comes up with a new idea of the Hoodoo Meadows recommended wilderness or whatever, wherever, that we'll have the same situation. It's been going on for 40 years with the Great Burn. Anyway.
So perfect opportunity, although a little early. So we'll have the comment period just to make sure that we're covering all the possible polygons or possible parcels of land. In the future, we'll have another comment period. So, hey, I don't think, it'll allow folks to make the comments that I don't think or I do think that this area would be suitable or appropriate. So not saying don't make a comment now, I'm just saying make a comment twice. It's probably the safest and best way to do it.
And then changing the subject back to your burning thing. So when you're trying to build a burning by May 1, or do you guys have the ability to Forest Service to do your burns with the special permits well after May 1st into June, July, or do you try to just do it all now while it's wetter now?
So what the official textbook answer is, maybe Abby knows it off the top of her head, but my understanding is typically from the middle of April to the middle of May is when we'll get our windows, which we are fall within prescription, which is when it's safe, which is a long way of saying it's safe to burn during that month. Typically, mid-May, it starts to get a little too dry and we fall out of prescription, which means it's inappropriate. And then we're gearing up for 4th of July, which is the unofficial kickoff of fire season. So we definitely don't want those two lines to overlap. So,
Final question, Chris, thanks for, so I also, once in a while, the Fish and Wildlife Service and their ideas, have you heard any, once upon a time it happened and it kind of got quelled, but have they approached you or Abby lately with any intent to transplant problem grizzly bears to certain remote areas like the Great Burn or elsewhere in our county that you're aware of?
the Fish and Wildlife Service, no, as a matter of fact, I think the last conversation I had with the Fish and Wildlife Service was sitting right there. She came down to talk to both of us. And again, I've been out of the office a lot, so I just
your want...
colleague
has a
Okay.
Yeah. Superior Ranger District does not have any grizzly bear relocation sites in it at all.
Okay.
So I can't say that. I do know I have a site or two. I'm 99% sure none of them are in Mineral County though.
Okay.
So hopefully that is sufficient. So, because I do know that it's not something that the Fish and Wildlife Service wants to share specific locations on. And part of the conversation that we have had was that they want us to be aware because not only are they already far removed from any private residences, but we also kind of track where our field crews are. So we want to make sure that we're not relocating them to a field site or something along those lines.
Yeah. Okay, I'm done with my questions.
No questions here.
No, not here either.
Okay. Anyone from the group?
Are those bears gonna respect the county line?
Not the county line, but maybe the state line. I'm of course kidding. I'm totally kidding.
I was just wondering, asking for a friend.
If I see one, I'll be sure that.
He'll check.
Okay, if there's no other questions, we appreciate your time and.
Thank you.
Yeah, if we're done early, can we take a break, Madam Chair, if there's no more
Yeah,
questions?
yeah, if there are no more questions, yeah.
Can I borrow your keys for a minute? For the
Yes,
office?
yeah,
Darren's
just
gone.
let me, yeah. Let me just dig in my down.
Oh, yeah, no, that was totally a joke.
Yeah, people may make us use it. You know, this is like official stuff.
I had some comment earlier, and so the one you guys found, I Alright, I just wanted to double check. Not your here, I need to be here.
So if I forget to get back to you, just remember. So we're gonna make nasty fish. Yeah, I thought, wow, she'll know.
That's a concern.
Yeah, I'll make sure to make those notes in the comments. They gave me a map that I should now
It's like, no, I just shot it. It's about
So I took my cell phone doesn't on that work. So
and the one that I like the most is if there were any among you who are sin.
That's the first stove.
Thank you. That's the one I live by. I live by that.
Then he threw down in the middle, he wrote the sand. You know what he wrote?
Something about his mother or something, right?
You're gonna give us that one.
Starting from the oldest to the youngest.
Okay.
I'm gonna spell your name wrong.
Yeah, you know, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, see, that's exactly right. Right.
Here you guys are standing here, well.
I just don't think Gary could
Starting from the oldest.
be enough to take care of. Yeah, exactly. But I think I'm going to.
Thank you.
Well,
Right.
to me, that was made sense, you know.
Yeah, I
You
mean, I'm
guys here accusing
assuming
this lady,
that
you know, you have to do something. That's a-
And if you go to the Old Milwaukee County Commissioners page, you know, where you can put your name in the hat. You know, if you think you can do a better job, you fill out the paper. Yeah, although,
We
Dawn,
used to do really weird shit too.
No, there's some.
there's not much.
Yeah, but the board was done. Right, yes.
Yeah, right? If you think you can do a better job, then you fill out the paper. I'm with you.
That's what we're doing, like,
Yes. I love it, as long as you, well, you tell Mary Jo. Yeah, well, Glenn had, you know, he's driving, yeah, but he doesn't have to leave till 11:45 just to pick up his driver, you know, so yeah. You know, so yeah. So yeah.
I don't think
I wanted to go back I took out 1,500 just for the still 0.02 as opposed to 0.02. Yeah, you know, and if you're I don't think it's a bad idea, but maybe if you're interested, you're gonna figure it out. I figured it out. Well, then if that's your fault. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what we paid, but it's.
Oh, there you go.
We'll put it on the reader board.
I don't know the cost, I figured that out. I remember when you were expensive, we did it for the job. But I appreciate the comment though. And now you know. Now you go all through and say, oh, by golly, no.
Well, it's,
I need to have a gallon. Sorry.
looking at this. Definitely.
Smart Dave.
We need to go to the next agenda item. We're a little late, but I think it was a break everybody needed. So now we're going to, I'm gonna wait for our partner over here. I think that was a much needed break, it must be, and maybe the time got away. You know, something I did forget to announce this morning, and this is pretty important. We are postponing the local tribal consistency money and the management of. So I'm sorry that I forgot to announce that at the beginning of today's opening. That was a 1:30 agenda item. Okay.
You don't have to go.
We're gonna have two MIA.
He took the key.
Oh, yeah, he's in the.
He took the key.
Yep, thank you, I forgot. He did try,
I did.
yeah.
Jones. I like that.
Hi, Brian, we're running just a tad bit behind. Yeah, well, no, we can't really do anything. But at 11:15, we can go ahead.
What time do you think?
What's that?
What time do you think?
Well, I think at 11:15 that we should probably go ahead with you. Do you agree with that, or what do you want to do?
I can count out both of them pretty quick.
You can do what?
I can do both of them pretty quick.
Yeah, but we do need to wait till 11:15 because you're on the schedule, and if somebody wants to hear your spiel,
Okay.
and then we'll circle back to appointing the salary board. A couple of minutes according to Verizon, Ren. 2, to be exact.
1 minute and 23 seconds.
I stand corrected.
I'm quick.
Lucky we have cell phones.
Did you see that? Oh, I don't know if I just saw that.
We're not doing protocol. We don't do it.
Okay, it is 11:15 and we know your time is,
It's all right. Do we need to wait for anybody?
no, we'll go ahead with you, Ryan.
Is this thing gonna bite me this time?
It might.
I think last time I've done this.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry, I'm just taller. Harold's bend over. All right, Sheriff Ryan Funk, and I'm here at 11:15 for you guys to approve the detention supervisor job description.
Yes, so do we have a motion to approve that job description? We've had it, we have looked it over, and today we are approving that. So,
I would make that motion.
okay. Is there any comment from the public before we go ahead and accept this job description for the detention supervisor? It's long overdue, and Sheriff Funk kindly came through with it for us. We do appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Okay. If not, then you moved, you said?
I did.
And I will second approving the job description for detention supervisor as provided by Sheriff Ryan Funk. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion carried.
Do you want me to go to my next one, or do
Yes,
we have
you
to
go
wait?
right in. Nope.
And this thing like doesn't like me. Maybe it just doesn't like my voice. So the next one is we terminated a employee, and I'm looking to fill their position in dispatch. We have one position available.
Okay. And I don't think there's any discussion for that. Before we make that motion, did anyone want to comment on filling the vacancy left in Sheriff Funk's dispatch? Okay. Do we have a motion?
I would make that motion.
And I will second that. We approve advertising and filling the vacancy in dispatch.
Okay, can I ask you guys a question in reference to that?
Yes.
So I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago that we did interviews, and we had 3 applicants, which I believe all 3 are valid applicants to fill a position. They were not chosen a couple weeks ago, so I would like to hire off that list, as it's kind of an emergent situation that we need to. So if I can get approval to hire one of the two remaining, then that's what I would request.
And the law does provide for you to do that, so
Okay.
yes, you
All right.
can use what you have.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, that's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we are gonna circle back to appointing the salary board.
Okay.
And in doing that, I just want to let everyone know there is a requirement for that board, and that is that there are 3 elected officials on the board, and we have those 3. And then I believe we need to have 3 people from the public, and right now we have 2 people from the public. So we will go ahead and approve those.
And then hold on to the third
Then we'll
one,
hold on for the last, yeah.
because we have till, probably.
June, I think, but, so, any,
So,
Any-
the 3 elected officials that will be on the board this year are,
they're going to be Kellyanne, Mary, and Kim Tarrant.
Mary Mueller.
Yeah.
So we have a clerk and
But
recorder,
we'll-
a treasurer, and a JP.
Yep.
Okay, and then the public, you want to appoint the 2?
Yeah,
that we have
in our
applications?
motion, yep, we're going to appoint Ken Jasper and Diane Magone. And then we will need one more applicant.
Is that ad still in the paper, or did it already run its course?
It did already run its course,
Okay.
so we will solicit in some manner to get that other board member.
Okay.
So, any questions, any discussion before we, yes?
You need to step up there.
Would you please?
Yeah, what are the qualifications to be on that board?
I'm not aware of any qualifications for the salary board compensation. Could you guys step in on that, please?
It's just, it just requires 3 elected officials from the courthouse because they work here. And then just 3 to 4 citizens is the only requirement from the public, that when everybody sits down to talk about what would be a fair raise, if the elected officials should get what kind of a percentage of increase, given cost of living, if they should get a longevity, or if the county can only afford to do one or the other, or all, the recommendation from that board. So the citizen, we've always really appreciated having like Ken Jasper on it because he's a business person. But in the past, we've had people that were just pure citizens. So it's just to kind of balance and round out what's happening in the county and the real world, in their opinion, to help make a decision for us commissioners on what we should do for salary and for our elected officials.
So then you guys take that information and you make the final decisions then?
The commissioners actually make the final decision, but we take into account their recommendations.
Their recommendations.
Yeah.
Ken, I do want to add one thing to that because I think it's utmost important that anybody on that salary board understands what our budget is and knows the whole picture of the county. That is,
I would think that would be of utmost importance.
yeah, of utmost, yes.
Thank you.
Yes. If you know anybody, we're looking for one more.
Any other discussion before
So
we?
what would be the process then? Well, I guess should somebody else be interested, what would be the process at this point? Will it have to be advertised again in the paper, or can it go forward from here and people could get their applications in today?
I do not believe we have to advertise this in the newspaper. We will solicit by way of posting it on the board, we'll get it out to the public.
And that's a 2-week, is that a 2-week?
No,
Oh.
it doesn't have to be.
Just
No.
one, just once? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you said you are going to re-advertise it?
No, we're not gonna advertise it in the newspaper. I said that we will get the word out, we will solicit it through. It'll be on the public bulletin board, it will be on the website, it will be posted over at Darla's, but we don't need to spend the money to put that
Okay.
ad back in the
But
paper.
it's open until filled, so yes, somebody could put it in their application right now today. There's no other ad to wait for, there's no other word of mouth.
No.
It's
So there's no
open.
time limit that you have to say, we have
No,
to make a
no.
decision in 2 weeks?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Do we have a motion? Oh, we're looking for a motion to approve elected officials Kellyanne McLeese, Kim Tarrant, and Mary Mueller, along with citizens Diane Magone and Ken Jasper, to the salary compensation board. Do we have a motion for that?
I would make that motion to approve those folks.
And I would second it.
Any further discussion?
Just FYI, if anyone is interested, it is not a whole lot of time, unlike some boards. It's mainly one or possibly two meetings, and that's about all. They only last about an hour or maybe an hour and a half. So.
And putting the time in to learn the county budget and to understand that we might be a little bit different than McDonald's. It's very important. That's probably, again, of utmost important. So with that, any other discussion?
I have none.
All in favor say aye.
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 No opposition, motion carried.
Thank you.
Yes, now, do these boards, like all others, need oath of office?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're sitting in the audience, you should go at your convenience to sign an oath of office. And if you're not sitting in the audience, we'll mail you a letter telling you congratulations and please go at your earliest convenience to the clerk and recorder's office for an oath of office. So our next agenda item is at 11:35.
Sorry.
Well, this
I thought
one,
we had the.
no, that was because Carol was always doing it. This is nice, you just want to come.
Right. My apologies. Sitting there thinking, oh, 11:25, Mr. Thomas.
And then July 1. Yes, but I'm trying to, oh, yes, July 1. I always have to think several months.
We do all need to sign this.
Well, there's a problem because the bills come out.
It's been approved.
So, and, the commissioners did explain that better too, and I get confused about bills. And
This is the detention job description.
until later, yeah, and I think that's like the second or third week. So it's really awkward. Let me ask them. Well, it's July 1st for this, yeah.
Why is that gonna take so long? Should it really take long?
I have a question from the audience. Was asking about when the budget was finalized and was trying to explain that June is when the presentations are made and then in July, and then the mills. So could you just tell us that, please?
Well, the budget doesn't get actually finalized until August or September. When do you get the mill information that goes into our
Yeah, they
consideration?
usually don't give us till September.
Yeah.
But they want our budget before that, like crazy.
So how do they know what they have to work with if that stuff doesn't get finalized before?
That's what we're always asking the state ourselves. We're supposed to submit them a budget and we don't even know what our money is. But, it's basically just, we talk, and so sometimes what the compensation board will say is, our recommendation is if the money comes in that you're anticipating. And if it doesn't, then, but they usually make a recommendation if we are going to have an increase, hopefully, in mills as we anticipate.
And I would encourage anyone to come visit with each commissioner and to get a feel for the workings of the county, because a lot of times, there's so many misconceptions out there. So I just encourage you to come in and visit with each commissioner, ask questions about how the county runs and how each office is run and how wages are determined. Best way to do it, come visit.
I also think sitting in on the whole budgeting process is interesting. The first time I did it was when our county had all the financial problems, because at the time, my brother was a county employee, and, you know, it's just interesting to see how that whole process works, and each department, thank you, Jenny, does their presentation on what they would like to see in their budget for the next year. It's really interesting. And that was a really not good year, but I have sat in on them since then, and because I'm on county boards now, and besides, I'm interested. So yeah, it's all open and good process. Sorry, that's the kid. Sorry about that.
Well, yeah, some debate, I'm sure. That's an action item.
I know.
There'll be some. Otherwise, we'll be behind schedule.
We will be one. So you can't tell what time it is on that.
I can.
Because of the glare. I know, you can. What? I know. That's why I have to keep looking at it, because that is, besides the fact that it's off.
Are you taking off today? Sunday? You're not going? Do you want to go to Seattle with me? Take Richard home.
Oh, did you want me to ask?
Can I sit in here? Sure. His legs are longer than yours, my car's not that big. I think it's, we get the rail on it. With the island.
No.
Yeah.
Hi, Karen.
You mean? No, right. And what's interesting.
Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah, I mentioned it. He said, oh, wow, that's the things I was intending to go to, I might have missed some of them. He said, well, we'll have to do something to come to point out that trying to turn in mileage or something like that. Yeah, quite accurate.
Want that kind of list? Yeah.
phones. That's the one you're looking at. Sorry, it was on my lap.
Well, I just want to show you how it's online. So, open up this.
I could see.
And then you just buy one eggs
So if you buy green Jolly Ranchers on Amazon, only green, it's gonna cost like twice as much. Really?
Okay,
I will gladly do that.
Yeah, thank you.
You really do like that blue better?
Yes. And I like.
You're the only person I've ever met who likes blue. Okay.
Hey, Pam, in a meeting, if you're not, that's fine. I only get that.
Yes, I will definitely do that, and I can tell my girls to do that.
Yes, okay, cool. Because I gave them, anywhere I smell like it, you know. Well, yesterday, when I was finishing,
So,
yeah, she says, better than that deep fried soup.
Yeah.
yeah, that's true, that's true. This is for. I got this thing, tourist type websites, what is in Montana? Denton Hotel. And I asked if I could send it to the hotel, or maybe stay here.
There you go. Then I post. So, yeah.
I don't know.
It's 11:35, so I think, is that what the, 11:35, resolution changes to resolution number 16/2023A. It's been out for discussion for a couple of weeks, and the only changes are just cleaning up some language. And that language includes changing Don Terrell as the chair, presiding officer, from Roman. Somehow that got overlooked in January, so that is on the new one. We changed some language to say that the commission may serve as liaison at their discretion on the following boards and committees. There is only one board required for the commissioners to be a part of, and that is the Board of Health. And you'll see that under Commissioner Simons, he is the chair of the Board of Health. Two other changes. Commissioner Simons took over Justice Public and Juvenile Detention as boards that he may attend and be a part of. So is there any discussion on these changes?
Julie Miller, I wanted to bring to your attention that I had asked for these drafts for the last 3 weeks when you've been discussing these and trying to pass these, and your drafts are varying wildly. So I got one draft. Matter of fact, today's the first day that you've stated that you were going to change the designated Don Terrell as presiding chair. This is the first time that you've mentioned that. I've tried to point it out in the past and was shot down. That is new. That wasn't part of the original discussions or even on the agenda 3 weeks ago when you first brought this up. What I'd like to point out is that I'm a little disturbed by the way that the January 6, 2003 was attempted to change. So I went up and I got a copy of the original, and the original does indeed state Roman, but when you handed it out last week, it stated Dawn. But it had the 2006 file date and stamp on it. But yet, the one on the 20th has you scratching it, has someone scratching it out and changing it. My concerns are that perhaps you guys aren't familiar with how to change resolutions, and that's why I brought it up to Roman last week about amend the text, repeal, and replace, so you don't have two contradictory documents, which you currently have. You have two contradictory documents, and one was not properly repealed and replaced. It wasn't amended and repealed and replaced, it was scratched. And that's not the way it's done.
I do believe that we consulted with Mackenzie on how to do this, and we can go back and check with that email. I do believe that she gave us direction, because we were just, making those changes in Word. There was no actual content being
Well, I
changed.
found it odd, though, that when you handed out the draft had the 2006 date on it and file number, but it had your name.
It did, because, it wasn't
2003.
understood, that mistake was found and so it changed. And then when we talked about it, we said we need to go back to the original and we'll change this in our amended version. So you're absolutely right about that, Juliet.
It concerns me, the inexperience, though, Dawn, that you don't know these things, and that maybe Roman didn't know these things when you guys scratched it on the 20th, because you weren't here on the 20th. But they scratched it on the 20th and refiled it. So that's my concerns, because there's other documents where instead of rewriting them, you're coming in and you're redlining and you're
Okay, so we're gonna stick with this topic, Juliet.
I'm concerned
We
about.
are sticking with the topic of
And
amending
that
this
is-
resolution.
And
Thank
that
you.
is what I'm speaking to, is the inexperience that you bring to the table as your first year. And that I would ask that these commissioners pause for a moment, for 1 week, now that we have a full draft that is accurate, and ask the public what they think. Ask the public, because in January 6, 2003, we were not allowed to have any public comment on these resolutions before they were passed in front of us. And that is not appropriate either. I understand that you can pass resolutions in 1 day, but it's properly done by providing the public with the draft to be able to review. And I think at this point, there's a lot of trying to push things through real quickly, and I think that maybe you do need the public comment on this, not just here today, since this is the first time we got to see the draft this morning.
Juliet, thank you for your comment. I personally am going to advocate that after 3 weeks of discussing this, that we go ahead and amend as is. It's on the table, and that will be what I advocate for. Diane?
Diane McGowan, I told
Oh, yeah, can I, before you go on, so Juliet, like you pointed out, Dawn was not here on the 20th, and Dwayne and I were, and probably, if I remember right, somebody in the clerk and recorder, because we did discuss the chair, but we, with cut and paste or whatever, we didn't notice that it hadn't been changed, even though that was the motion made to have a new chair. And so I imagine someone in the clerk and recorder's office said, hey, look at this, you guys, we better just scratch it out and change that one thing. What's been happening lately about your suggestions and other people's, we have, we haven't just ignored them. There are some good points you brought up. We're trying to make improvements. That was bad on us, not Dawn. Me and Dwayne just didn't even catch that. Oh, okay, if we can just scratch it out. But you're right, we need to start doing things better. So we are trying to do that better. But in regards to the chair, most counties, they routinely just alternate. I had been the chair for 11 years, and
and we're all different individuals and have different styles, and, some people didn't like my style, some did, but that's not really, it's just running a meeting. So the 7 code says every year commissioners shall appoint a chair. And we did, and we're not gonna change, I don't know if you're trying to get a change of chair out of this, but
No.
we're gonna stick with the resolution. We do wanna do it correctly, that's why it's on the table for everyone to read, and that's why it's up for discussion right now. But the original idea came out to maybe change it because maybe people thought we needed to make other changes in the resolution, make it more like Lewis and Clark or less like Lewis and Clark's, and then with public input, and our decision was to kind of keep it simple. And while we were keeping it simple, we also, we probably better move Dwayne's board, since he's already on this one, and he's getting emails still because they kind of overlap. We made that change, and then the idea too was that since there's only one board on there that we actually are voting members, that if we have the word will or shall or whatever it was, let's have it be may at their discretion. Then if there's another conflict, it's not like you had to go to that hospital board meeting or had to go to the LEPC meeting because it said will or shall. So that's why that word was changed. It's not to do anything.
No, I understand that. The word liaison kind of covers the fact that we're looking for information from these committees, and you guys are the middleman for that. I understand that. My concern is that the public did not get any feedback. No public comment was allowed on January 6, 23 for this.
So as chair, I'm just going to say it was put out there for review. Everyone had plenty of opportunity, and I would like us to move forward. The opportunity was there, and now let's move forward. Diane?
Thank you, Diane McGowan. I just want to say that I agree with what Dawn is saying. This has been brought up over the past, 4 weeks, the same thing we're working on, and every time it comes before the meetings on Friday, it's one more complaint. Then we need to finish this up and move on with other business. So that's my concern as a taxpayer and a resident of Monroe County. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say, for the last 4 weeks, as someone mentioned, this whole issue about this thing has been brought up, and several times over that time, I asked very politely why they couldn't get the minutes and just post them. Thank you, Dwayne, for at least bringing in and putting a copy of, or getting a copy of the minutes from the Human Resources
Could we
Board.
stick to the agenda item, please? The agenda item is to adopt this.
And this has
amendment.
done. This has to do with that agenda, that resolution.
I'm going to ask you to lower your voice. We're here in peace.
You
And-
cut me off.
Because, Clayton, I want us to stick to the agenda.
That
item,
is on
which
the
is to
agenda. It is
amend
a
it.
part of the resolution.
It
The liaisons.
Yeah. He's
And I'm thanking
minutes.
Dwayne for getting this and having it out here.
Yep,
That's
thank
all
you.
I ask.
Thank you. Now, let's get back to business.
Very rude, Don, interrupted people.
Okay, this is what I was gonna talk about last week, but this appears to be written differently again. So just hang tight here a minute. May serve as a liaison at their discretion. The problem is that every single, in the responsibilities of the commission, you need to know who activates an emergency plan if we have another derailment, if the fire's out of control, who's the responding people. All those networkings happen within these committees. The way I read this today is it says you may serve a liaison at your discretion rather than you're going to be as a liaison and you'll go to the meetings at your discretion. This is now saying you can choose yes or no to be a liaison,
Yes.
is how this reads. But these things are your responsibility. The fair board, that's county property. The hospital sitting on county property. All these things that are on these committees are under your responsibility. So if you're just saying to be a liaison at your discretion, why do you keep saying yes?
Because you're absolutely right, Marlis. It is the intent here is that we will be on the board at our discretion. We sometimes find that there is a board maybe that is not conducive to our business. If that should
Okay.
happen, then we want the availability of moving off that board.
Yeah, but see, right now you're saying may serve as a
Yes.
liaison at your discretion. That doesn't talk about the board or anything? Just look at the way the language is.
Yes.
Because now it sounds like I don't have to go to that meeting, I choose not to.
No.
I choose not to be a liaison. Is may serve as a liaison at your discretion, means you choose to be a liaison or not.
And that is what the intent is. The rest of the sentence, serve as liaison at their discretion on the following boards and committees. So the intent is that this could change someday where we're not going to be doing hospital board. And then we would have the right to not make that. It
Are
is
you
not-
giving the hospital your land?
Very limited.
You know, here's the deal. You know, you bring up a good point, and when you read the sentence in totality, it means may serve as a liaison at their discretion on the following boards and committees. That is the intent. Maybe juvenile detention one day won't be here and we won't be on that board. It is not,
I'm just
it is
pointing out
not
the language
mandated. No.
change, but the way it's worded now, I would go back to like English 101 in elementary. It is the way this sentence ended up. Just hang tight with me, I'm not judging.
I am.
The way it's worded now is like you're gonna get to decide, you've been assigned this board.
But we're not assigned, keep that in mind. We are not assigned any of these boards, Marlis.
Okay. I'm wondering if I can finish the sentence.
Well, yes, but I want to correct you right there,
Yeah,
because maybe
you're
your
correcting
thought,
me mid-sentence, mid-thought.
maybe your thought will change then when you know we are not assigned to
Okay.
these boards.
I choose not to interrupt you. You've interrupted me multiple times. I just find it rude.
Okay.
And I really would appreciate being able to finish a thought, because when you slam me with a response before I finish a sentence, I forget.
So I would just like to clarify that none of these boards are
clarified.
assigned or required other than the Board of Health.
Ken Burley. I've been coming to these meetings for almost every Friday since December. And this resolution has been out here, it's been discussed, you've had a comment period, you've had discussions, we're past that, make a decision and move forward. And I would not tolerate the actions we just saw a few minutes ago. This meeting is supposed to be kept in order, and it's your responsibility to do that. I would slam the gavel down, and I would not allow that. And if I raise my voice, slam the gavel down. But it's time to put an end to this thing, make a decision, pass a resolution one way or the other. You're not going to please all of us. Do the best you can and move forward.
Thank you, and with that, I'm looking for a motion to amend the resolution, and today's resolution would be resolution number 414, 2023.
I will move that we adopt this resolution number 414, 2023, and by virtue of it being a new resolution with a new date, it will replace the old one, which was in error with some parts that this new one has corrected.
I would second that motion.
And we've had the discussion, so all in favor say aye.
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 No opposition, motion carried. And it looks like we need to go right on into 1150, and that is request to hire 2 administrative assistants for county attorney with appropriate wage increase. Deb Jackson?
Is in
Wally,
court.
are you okay?
Is in Missoula in court.
Okay, just to let you know, we've got 10 minutes for this.
So what would you like to know?
Come
on up to the mic.
Yep, come to the mic.
So they can hear you better.
This was just simply the request of the commissioners for the roles to advertise for the two positions, because two people quit on Tuesday or Monday morning, I'm not sure when. And that is that, so there was nobody else for clerical up there at all.
Okay.
The jobs sometime are on the edge of being quasi, I describe as paralegal or para whatever else, because of what comes in and what comes out, what you have to do regarding the criminal portion, etc. So I think the reason for the question on the salary was if somebody comes with enough experience or with a paralegal degree or paralegal education, they're going to say we want more money than $13 or whatever it is. I'm not sure, but that was the question. I don't think they've had a number in mind. The thought was just if we're going to see who's out there that wants to do this, that's what we should do.
Well,
So that's the question.
Okay, so I want to address that question.
Okay.
We know that in our policy on page 19, it does say that raises happen only once a year. You come at budget time and you ask for it. However, we also have urgent circumstances as deemed by the commissioners will allow for a rate of pay increase. So I do want to just point that out, that you are here asking for a legal rate of pay increase. Now, it's open for discussion, guys, I guess.
That is reserved for exigent circumstances. However, is the exigent circumstance the pay, or, you know, is there something else going on that we lost two in one day?
I think all that was going on was two things. One was upset about being named as a witness in the writ proceeding next week and didn't want to do that and had some health issues. I think that was part of it as well. I think those are the two biggest pushes, and the other one has not been feeling well and didn't like the quantity of work.
So I think that we shouldn't surmise on any of that. What we know is that we have two openings, and we know that qualified people, whether that's with a legal certificate or whatever, would be your first
Would be a
choice.
preference for anybody.
Yeah. And so, do you have a list of what those qualifications are that would deserve a higher wage?
There in the job description of the positions that were done for the county, paralegal was more. Experience as a legal secretary or legal assistant was also more. That's in the list, but I don't really have a specific list past that. The paralegal program at U of M is still open, but not graduating a lot of people. I think there's one at Carroll as well that has not. I'm not sure who's out there. So a person actually doesn't really know who will apply or who will not. And there may not be a reason to raise a salary or a wage if a person applies who does not have the experience to justify the increase. We just really don't know who may or may not apply. That's the question.
Question, Wally. Is a paralegal defined in MCA as opposed to the assistant? Is there a licensing?
There's not a licensing, there's a degree though.
Okay, and so.
You get a certificate
Yep,
after that.
it's not question and answer right
Yeah.
now. It's
But
because
yeah,
we
but
can give
but
that.
yeah, but, and then, yeah, just, if the public wants to address the man at the podium, just address the chair for
Please.
permission to ask a question. Keep the order a little bit better that way.
And so you would clearly state, depending on experience, and you would be very clear about what experience would warrant a higher wage.
Yes.
And you are willing, though, to hire at the wage, the going rate in the courthouse.
I don't think that's inappropriate at all if somebody does not have the experience. Yeah, I think that's appropriate to hire at that amount, not ask for more money if
Yes.
you don't have the skill set.
So what you're suggesting, advertise $13 an hour, or depending on experience? Is that what
Yeah,
you're kind of
right,
implying?
yeah.
Sheriff Funk?
So my big thing is ultimately, I came here earlier asking for a dispatch position, and the person that I'm gonna hire has 10 years of experience. They're getting the starting pay as a dispatcher, not for their 10 years of experience. So I think it would have to go across the board to every department or every office, that if we're hiring on experience, then we need to pay it across the board.
And I would think part of it is based on experience, but the other part is do they have a certificate or a degree in doing it or not, which is the difference in the law. Dispatch doesn't have that, but the legal end does. That's maybe perhaps the difference there.
Well, and dispatchers have certificates being post certified, so.
Well, here's the thing, guys, what do you wanna do? Do you wanna do it based on experience, or do you wanna just do it, here's the going rate at the courthouse, and this is what it's gonna be? Yes, Ken?
Don't you have a salary compensation board that you might want to hear from to talk about some of that stuff?
I don't think the salary board compensation has traditionally been a part of that, of this particular issue.
That's why I asked what the
Yeah.
qualifications and requirements were.
Is knowing the budget and how the courthouse works, and this would be one of those inner workings.
So they
Oh,
don't recommend salaries or wages. then?
So, yeah, Mr. Burley, so the salary compensation board is sort of unique in the sense that they are here to help decide the salaries of elected officials. And so what we typically do as commissioners is that if the salary compensation board says all elected officials get a 50-cent an hour raise, we try then to convey that same to our hourly employees. So the long and short is the compensation board only addresses the elected officials' salary people on that level. It doesn't talk about hourly employees, but we try to use the same measuring stick to when it comes to pay raise time. So that wouldn't necessarily fix our issue. I'm inclined because it is such a, oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
So I also have another thing, if we can go back to December 9th, when I was sheriff-elect and I came in, not as a department head asking to fill a vacancy, I was told I wasn't a department head, I could not fill that vacancy, and the undersheriff was on a coroner call, so I would also say this is the same issue.
Ryan, I think that that's a really good point, but he is still a county attorney, a deputy county attorney. And I don't think that you had taken over office yet. I think you were still a sergeant under that circumstance.
Yeah, I was sheriff-elect, and I was
It
told
was
I was not a
sheriff-elect,
department head by
But
you.
he does still have a title of county attorney, deputy county attorney. But in any case, so you bring up a good point, but I see that as the difference. And it looks like Roman's gonna look up one of the laws, or?
Oh, no,
No?
on the salary board.
Oh.
The other note I would give you is this, Deb would have been here, but the person who was through the procedure of setting fires had a sentencing revocation today in Missoula. And that was done by the judge there who ordered us to go there to do that. Otherwise, she made the request in writing, but she would have been here in person, but she and Val are both in Missoula.
Right, and I still
That's what happened.
I still have the same answer, that you
Yeah,
are
it's
still
true.
a county attorney,
true.
maybe deputy, but you do have that office. So, what do you guys think?
Well, I think that it's.
One more comment if I could. I
Yeah.
distinctly remember you saying department head.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely department head. Now we're changing the rules.
Again.
I would say Deb made the request in writing to the commissioners. So she made the request, I was just here to talk. But the commissioners did get the request from Deb Jackson, she just couldn't be here because of the judge's order.
Okay, so, first of all, I appreciate being corrected when I am wrong. And Wally, we actually wouldn't need you to speak at all. We have
Good.
Deb's request, and let's just go on Deb's request. I stand corrected. Ryan? I stand corrected.
Well, I'll go back and find the sheriff.
No, I'm not challenging it. I stand corrected. When I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Okay, guys, so back to, what do you think?
Well, she just probably wants to get it advertised as quick as possible, and that's why she turned in the request to let us decide if we're gonna advertise it. And regarding, the amount of pay, it's always a hot potato because fairness is always a problem here. And the exigent circumstances have to be quite extreme, although losing two people at once could be considered extreme, but I think that we should just stick with our policy and advertise at the starting wage. And then, given the fact that at budget time when raises may be allowed, we'll have to look at every department, but in particular, probably the ones that require more, well, they all require quite a bit of expertise in training, but that time when we should consider the raise.
Right, and that is in our policy, except for urgent
Because right now it is
circumstances.
April, and we'll be talking about this in June, and then the new budget's in July. Revenue gives us our numbers in time, we'll really be able to know what kind of a raise for the elected officials and the hourly employees that we can probably give everybody. But
I agree. That's what our policy says. And, you know, she says appropriate wage increase here. So I guess if I was after more money myself, if I was putting that before you guys, I would put the dollar amount down there that I wanted. You know, $20 or whatever you thought was appropriate. That's what I'd put on that piece of paper. Then we could have decided. But I think without having something firm there and without having a candidate that we can say is a
appropriate.
paralegal, yeah, then $13 is what it is. That we advertise that.
And I do have to say, as coming from HR, I do believe that one of those positions actually has been starting at 14.
Whatever.
So I just want to make that
Yeah.
clear right now without checking the record. I don't want to lock,
Yeah, well, if 14,
yep,
whatever.
one of them, yep.
One of them went.
Okay,
Okay.
so I'll check the history on that, but
But I know they're gonna need help, so I
Yeah,
move
most
that they go
definitely.
ahead and move forward and advertise.
If that doesn't work, I mean, there is the other avenue there.
Okay, I'll withhold my motion until the public comment.
yes,
I think you're wrong on the 14. Both of these got that pay raise last year at $1.05.
and I think there was a mistake here. I'm going to go check the letter, job acceptance letter in the folder. Because I know that under Ellen, her admin started at $1 an hour more. And then I do believe that she advertised the position for that $1 an hour more. And I know that there was a couple of errors made on the salary schedule, but I'm gonna check the personnel folder with the job acceptance letter for the wage. Because I wanna be certain, and I wanna bring that forward so that if it is $14 an hour, then we're all aware of that. Kim?
Just for clarification on the 14, was that for the person who was being hired at that time, or was that for the position itself?
No, it was the position.
In that position different from the other position.
I can only tell you that that is what the former county attorney had negotiated, and then it just rolled over into, I know it was in the ad for 14, but again, I really want to check the personnel folder for the job acceptance letter, because that will have the rate in it. I could be making another mistake, and I want to make it clear that it might be $14 an hour.
And how did that happen? Everybody else getting out at the 13, how did they end up with the 14?
You would have to take that up with Ellen and the negotiators at that time, because I wasn't a part of those
I just
negotiations.
wondered if it would be as part of the record as to how that went out.
I honestly don't remember.
I do.
Who said that? I couldn't see. Oh. Well, how about this, everybody? Could you let me, could we?
Research it?
Yeah, but we still could make the motion and get this approved so that she can get that ad in the paper.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna check the personnel folder to see what that starting
I
rate.
think we're on here just more for the wage increase, but, trying to maintain across the board. I
Right.
don't think anybody would oppose to them advertising, we just wanted to make sure we got some input
Sure.
that come to the other.
Sure, Ken?
Did these people leave because of wages?
No.
Did we do an exit interview with these people?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions on that? The wage is still, again, I'm making it clear, it might be $14 an hour. If that is not what the job acceptance letter said, it will be the standard rate of $13 an hour. Okay,
We'll go from there.
all right. What was the motion?
I move that we advertise the 2 vacant positions in the county attorney's office to be hired and replaced as soon as possible.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 No opposition, motion carried.
And Don, you'll get back with us and just kind of let us know, or do we need to come in for another meeting to figure out, I'm just.
No, you don't need to come back in.
Okay.
if I think to, or if I'll leave a note for Darren, because I'm not sure how he sends out countywide emails, but
I would just like to know how the whole process happens and.
yeah, I don't know, somebody who was here long ago when Ellen started negotiated that.
Yeah, I'm not trying to debate, I just would like to know, kind of, because I didn't participate either, and I would like to just kind of be aware of the process. Thank you.
It says, well, it is. So we are going to recess for lunch and we have a 1 o'clock meeting.